The recap will be done as though it were. I'm going to do it live. I don't have anything prepared necessarily. We'll do it as a message that Roadie is sending out. Hey kid, I was wanting to send a message before, and I just, how it gets. I didn't get a chance, and I missed our little call, and well, I'm sorry for that, but a lot's been going on, and I wanted to tell you about it. It would be kind of like when I tell you stories about us on the road, except I guess I can leave in all the nasty bits now. Well, we were on a flight, and it crashed. I'm okay, obviously, since I'm sending you this. But and you gotta keep this a secret. But Candy's dead. Owes me a bit of money. Which, I'm okay though. And I don't need any money. Might need a way off this planet though. Which, well, we crash landed on this desert planet, and we I did happen to join a gang. To me and this guy, his name's Collie LaFlower. He's kind of a dumb little guy. When we crashed, I think he hit his head, and well, Anyway, we joined the gang, and I got a brand, but don't worry, it's it looks cool. And we got into a couple fights or skirmish, and I may have had to hurt somebody, kid, but no, your dad's being a good boy, at least trying to. But see, now it's this group called the Fuel Makers, and as far as I can tell, it seems as though they make fuel. We joined them as a way to maybe get off this planet. Oh yeah, we got a robot with us. It's not related much to anything else, but I thought you'd want to know because you'd get a kick out of it. Let's see, what else did we do? Well, we've been doing a bit of salvaging and all that, just trying to find stuff and survive in the wasteland. I think you'd be proud of me. I'm really trying to make some positive choices and not hurt people as much. Well, that's not wholly true, but I'll try to do better. Please answer. Send a message back. I look forward to hearing your voice, kid. I miss you so much. End of the message.
Okay. How heart touching. It touched my heart.
Yeah, it filled my arteries.
Mm-hmm. Clogged them right up.
Filled my sack.
Yeah.
All right, do I get the inspiration for that?
I guess.
Weevil crushes.
Well, I will say
you do.
I did have a bit of trouble because I realized last session we did almost nothing.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot.
We got to a crater and we're dumb for 4 hours.
Yeah.
Well, we looked inside of a hole at the end.
Turns out there were people in it.
Yeah.
Who would have known? At least I think they're people. There could be this man named Shitpile.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Oh, yeah. I forgot. Yeah, but there's also this guy Shitpile. I think.
Okay. Very good. Yeah. Cool. We resume as I open all the character sheets.
Yeah, Alex. Wait,
What?
is Alex a little crunchy for anyone else?
You're crunchy.
A little what?
Yeah, his voice was crunchy.
I'll crunch you.
You're better.
I was never bad.
My bad.
Yeah.
My mistake.
Yeah, exactly. I've always been fucking golden, dude. We picked back up with Kali and Roadie on the outskirts of the, or not really the outskirts, but in the heart of the Fuelmaker camp, being brought over to the grub spot, the stew pile, by their new friend and fellow gang member, Knee Pads. As he turns to you guys, walking over towards this small campfire with about 4 or 5 other fuel makers sitting around it. Most of them, their gas masks removed as they eat from these, like, basically scrap metal helmet bowls, pulling what looks to be like stew slop out of a giant cauldron that's simmering over this campfire. And as Knee Pads leads you over, he's like,
yeah, so we got a pretty good deal over here. It's pretty cool. Fuel makers were a real friendly bunch. You know, now that you're in. You know, just do what you're asked and don't, you know, betray the family. And you know, we kind of run this place. You know, we're a good group of guys. And
yeah, so like, where's the fuel?
yeah, that's everybody's first question. They hear fuel makers and they're like, oh, we actually we take care of that process over there.
and he loosely gestures with his like head back the way, like towards you guys, so back the way you came. And he's leading you towards the eastern half of the camp right now. So he's looking towards the western half, and you see like a large metal. It's almost like a giant metal teepee. It's essentially like somewhere between 10 to 15 giant sheets of scrap metal positioned in a large cone around each other to make a structure with a little entryway. It's one of the larger buildings in this camp. The only one that dwarfs it is the main butt of the ship that Weevil is talking with the leader within. The rest of the shacks are, much smaller than this.
That's our sort of fuel refinery plant over there. We got a couple of converters in there where we take biofuel and create it into gasoline to power our weapons and our vehicles. And, it's one of the primary sources of power on this planet, essentially. It's what keeps the lights on, quite literally. We can give you a full tour of the place later if you want.
That'd be good. I'd love to help make some fuel. And looking back at like Weevil, I mean, he also could use. He could just use a bit of help. I don't know if you.
Well, Weevil's inside.
You need. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Are we not inside?
No. You are outside the camp, around just like a campfire,
basically, right?
Gotcha.
Yeah, just a
bad,
campfire section. And
yeah, Weevil disappeared inside the behind the curtain.
Got you. I don't know why. I thought you were with us. Okay, yeah, because you're dying. We keep not doing anything about it. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Sorry. Go ahead.
Anyway.
And he begins to like kind of dole you out little plates and starts ladling soups into your little bowls.
We like I said, big topics are, we raid and scav the nearby desert for, anything valuable, tech. Our grand leader Jeff is vastly interested in interesting scrap and tech. He's really turned the fuel makers around with that kind of mindset, Let's see, Rage and Bullets are number 2 and number 3 in the clan. The rest of us are, working beneath them. Biofuel, like I said, very important. If you see anything out there, whether it be like a dead sand crawler or anything you could drag back to camp to generate into, that would be very good. We don't like the fellas over at Shit Pile, so steer clear. Yeah, y'all got any questions for me in the meantime?
Well, yeah, I got one. So what is Shit Pile? I understand it's not a person, but a place. What is it? Why is it called Shit Pile? That doesn't sound too good for a place.
Yeah, because it's a pile of shit. Who would have guessed?
Wait,
Wow.
We would
Miles
be...
not a dude?
No.
Yeah.
Hey, listen. All right. We've been over this. Okay, Shades? It's a town about 50, 60 miles east of here.
What?
Established a long
Collie
ways
looks,
back.
Collie looks
Yeah.
mortified.
Yeah.
Trying to
I
keep
know.
the soup drains in your head. Just hold on.
It was established way back, I don't know when. But the people there don't like us much, and we don't like them much. So, you know, occasionally we'll do a scouting trip out there, a little drive-by, shoot some pot shots at them, they shoot some pot shots at us, and that's the way it kind of goes, you know. At the moment, they actually got one of ours held captive in their town jail. Good friend Sparky. He's gone missing as of late, and we know where he is. And you know, well, we can actually talk about this later. But we got a little plan to get him back, and I think you two would make a great addition to our little squadron of
Sure.
wells.
So, like,
Yep, happy to help.
yeah, I mean, like, wouldn't it have been smart to not brand us and then send us over there as, like, recon or something?
Hey, why don't you just eat your soup, okay, there, bud?
All right, I guess I'll go, like, make some fuel or whatever y'all do around here.
That's called taking a shit.
Yeah, sure. We cut back to Weevil inside of this tent with the mustachioed, dirty but relatively well-maintained appearance, coiffed-haired, tall, lean gentleman, leader of the Fuelmakers, Jeff, as he grips Weevil by the massive
Hell,
rounded
collar.
I was gonna say the shoulder, the sort of pauldrons that make up Weevil's sort of external chassis, and he's like, "You have got to get me out of here. These people are fucking nuts. They're a cannibalistic fucking cult of sort. I don't listen, robot. Your designation is to help people, right? Well, help me get the fuck off this planet."
Gotcha. So this guy, as we do this, I want to try. Weevil still has his bioscanner in one hand, and he's going to try and surreptitiously scan this guy for signs of radiation sickness, because some of the fuel makers have symptoms of it, and this guy does obviously this guy is claiming to be some form of off-worlder, and I want to see like how much of his biomass also contains traces of radiation, and like if I can get a rough estimate on the amount of time he's been here while Weevil is talking to him. And I'm just trying to do that passively as I talk. So yeah, he grabs Weevil by the shoulders and says all that, and Weevil goes, "I do not understand." Oh, wait, do I have a voice changer on or no?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I do not understand. It seems that you are fearful of the people that you are currently running with. How has this arrangement come about?
Yeah, he's like, fine, I guess I can start from the beginning. And you pull your scanner out, and he's like, what? And you start scanning him, and he kind of disregards it and lets you do it. And while those readings, while you're scanning him, and those readings are like kind of coming in, he says, I became leader of this bunch of animals just a couple of years back, about three years back, maybe. I don't know. It's hard to keep track. The days here are different, and it's not like we have any calendars or signal to. Anyway, essentially, I crash landed on this planet. It's not dissimilar to well, what I hear happened to you and your friends, as Rage has told me. And long story short, I got lucky, and I was captured by these animals, and their old leader, Toothpick, he he brought me into his chamber, sort of how I did to you, and well, he kind of tripped and killed himself on I don't even remember what. He broke his own neck, and everybody thought I did it, and I just kind of went with it. And I have been putting on a show ever since, and getting up in front of those people to this day still scares the shit out of me. I have nightmares every night. Sleeping, it's next to impossible. They're gonna find out I'm a fraud one day and rage, or that psychopath bullets, or they're going to they're probably gonna put me in one of the combustion engines for fuel, and I don't think they're gonna kill me before they do it. So before that happens, why don't you help me and I help you? I have an army of murderers on my side, and you are a marvel of technology. So I think we can help each other.
Gotcha. Okay, so I would like to specifically roll some information based on I guess maybe to see what I get out of the bioscanner, because as he's saying this, a couple things come to mind. I want to see if his what I said before, if his I guess if I'm asking for too much, just by all means tell me, and I'll try and search for a different method of getting this information. But I want to see if he seems to, if that lines up, if the amount of radiation in his system is maybe on par with what you would expect from someone who's lived here for 3 years, or maybe he's who knows, it doesn't necessarily mean anything. He could have stayed inside this hutch the entire time if he's as terrified of them as he says. And I also want to see if his vital signs, like dilated pupils, increasing heart rate, does it seem like he's lying when he's telling me this? What are the affectations of him? Is he legitimately feeling his pulse increase when he's talking about getting in front of these people? Is he abnormally calm, and his external signs are all a show that he's putting on? I'm just curious what that looks like.
Yeah.
And I'll draw whatever conclusions I can based on that. But
yeah, so you look at his radiation levels, and they're mild at best. He's definitely not been running around these wastes and just raw dogging this planet for 3 years. Something has been protecting him, or he's lying about the time that he's been on this planet, one of the two. He's been wearing, because you wouldn't have this radiation sickness if like kids, you just stayed in a vac suit the entire time, you'd be okay.
Right.
He does not have a vac suit,
or
though.
Presumably if you stayed inside most of your time, you would also be
less that
symptomatic.
And you gather that the fuel makers' gas masks seem to have a semi-similar low-tech effect like the vac suits. And then there's also pharmaceuticals that you can take to get rid of radiation sickness that might be helpful. There's a lot of ifs, ands, or buts about that. You just notice that his radiation levels are low, essentially. You see his heart rate spiking pretty severely while he tells this story, especially when he talks about rage and bullets. His pupils are dilated. He seems, from a physical standpoint, in good health, but malnourished and a little weather beaten. Yeah, I think that's about what you get.
Cool. Gotcha. So Weevil will kind of turn to him after he flips his bioscanner closed and puts it back on a loop or whatever, or a peg that protrudes from his chassis instead of a belt loop. And he goes,
very well. I believe that we may be able to come to some sort of mutually beneficial agreement. However, I am here for a very specific reason. You talked about fate as being my reason here. However, I believe that my reason here is because of that.
And he points to the beacon in the back that's emitting the signal, or the pod, whatever it is, that's emitting the signal. And he, if provided that Jeff isn't going to stop him, he's clonk, 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 starts making his way towards it. And I'm, searching this pre-tech item for any way of interfacing with it, jack ports, or any sign of what specifically is making, if there looks like a data bank, or I'm curious what this is, and if it would be something that I would specifically recognize. You mentioned it seems like some sort of pod. Is it a cryopod? Is it a life pod? I'm looking for specific information with regard to that.
Yeah. So as you kind of push past Jeff, he's like, "What you?" And he starts walking over to the thing. He's like, "Be careful with that. I'm not really sure what it does quite yet, and I think it might be valuable if you." And you immediately recognize what this is as you kind of saunter over to it. It is one of the old cryopods that a person would have been stored on in the Magellan. It has, while rusted over, battered, this thing looks like it has been dragged, like, across the desert, you know? There's lots of shearing and dents and just general kind of weathered texturing on the metallic surfaces of the exterior of this pod. There's been, like, a couple of, like, panels that are covering up circuitry that have been removed, and the circuitry is just kind of loose. A few wires that have been jury-rigged and replaced because maybe they got damaged. This thing looks like it's just kind of been through a lot. And, but yeah, this is definitely one of the cryopods that, a person would have been stored on upon the Magellan. It has the
Gotcha.
legible, like, logo of the ship and the company that made it, though the specific serial number of the like the pod itself, it looks like it's just been weathered away.
Okay, so there's no specific way I could I don't
trace
know if
it to whose it is now.
Yeah. Okay, no specific way of matching that. Okay.
Not just by
the other
looking at the
thing-
exterior, at least.
Cool. I'm also looking for a port to jack into, so I'm going to attempt
Yeah,
to
you see
interface
one
with
of those
this
for
and,
sure.
and scrape some data off of it. But I just wanted to confirm. I think last session you mentioned that the ship that we're on doesn't have any signal.
No, it's
like
not.
it looks. There's
Yeah, it's
no
just another-
similarities to the Magellan whatsoever. Okay.
Nope.
So this is most likely a piece of scrap that was brought here after the fact.
Yeah.
Um,
This is not the
and so,
wreckage
yeah,
of the
we were
Magellan
going
that
to-
this is in. You can tell by, if anything, the different weathering on the pod versus the ship looking nothing like, yours.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, yep. Cool. Then I'm gonna search for a way to potentially either decrypt the contents or copy them, or whatever I'm able to do.
Sure. You go to jack into this thing. Of course, there's a port for you to plug into to interface with to sort of, verify the integrity of the pod and the life, signals, the biosignatures of whatever or whoever may be inside, which at the moment is nobody. Glass has been broken on this thing. And you are immediately greeted with the login screen, the sort of protective firewall of the Magellan's systems, which you, of course, have the passwords for already, being essentially an employee of the Magellan, being part of the ship. So you're able to enter your credentials. Give me a program int, or no, rather, I'm going to ask for give me a notice wisdom check.
Okay.
I'll take
I was
notice
gonna-
int.
I don't
too.
know what this is specifically is. Okay. I'm probably gonna do notice int then, because it's basically the same for me. If this is specifically a program, then I would like to plead the case of program because I am now a hacker. But otherwise,
This is more so
I-
to notice something while you're logging in. So it's
Cool.
less of
Oh,
like
sure.
it's less of like can I technically do anything, and this is more so just you pick up on something like, there's a couple of dead pixels in the corner that you might not notice, kind of deal.
right. Okay.
And with a 4, you log in and you see there's like the UI is taking quite a while to get your credentials passed through, and finally with a couple of stutters, everything begins to come unlocked. But then you are greeted with a secondary screen that is very bare bones UI essentially, or UX, where it looks like essentially like a notepad doc pops up that asks for a tertiary password, a secondary password that you do not recognize. You don't recognize this screen.
Gotcha. So you mentioned, I guess the best way, I'm not a coder, so I guess the best way that I can think about this is like if you do like open BIOS when you start up, it's like only
Yeah.
black screen, white text, very bare
Yeah.
bones, utilitarian, not made for user interface very often unless you're some kind of programmer.
Yeah, like when you went to log into the Magellan, like you have a nice blue background with a logo and a login
Yeah, it's
bar,
like the Windows
and this is
login
just
screen
now
with the
the
mountains
command prompt just opens and it's like, give me more information, and you're not
Okay.
you should be in already.
Gotcha. I'm going to attempt to find a back door to this.
Sure.
So Weevil is going to. I guess he would. Maybe for flavor's sake, the way that I'm going to try and do this is there's probably developer tools that he would have some access to for troubleshooting. Like he was a multi-purpose bot, even though he was purposely mostly a med bot. He has some knowledge of like, oh, okay, this one screen's glitching. Let me go ahead and type in this code and try rebooting that way. Nothing to rewrite the systems, but maybe he can find like a backdoor that would allow him to gain a little more access than he has here.
Sure.
Instead try and find a way in that way.
Yeah. So this would be your standard hack check at this point. So you can give me a program int.
Program int, and I get 3d6, drop the lowest. That is an 11.
Nice.
4, 1, 4, drop the 1, plus 2, plus 1.
Scooby-Doo. Sorry, I'm just looking for the hacking section just in case I need to reference something real quick. Here we go. Okay, with an 11, you start essentially entering code and command prompts and running different diagnostics on the system to see what may have been done. And with an 11, you're essentially able to tell this is like an aftermarket additional software program that has been loaded onto this escape pod, or this cryopod rather, for some reason. Yeah, obviously the purpose you can't tell, but you can tell this isn't a part of the Magellan's original sort of package. And but you were able to get past it and start sifting through the general data about the lifespan of this cryopod. With an 11, I'm just going to give you a bunch of information on it, essentially, instead of having you ask specific questions. Essentially, you're able to see the time log of what this pod went through. And you start noticing some abnormalities in the Magellan's this life pod's diagnostics about 16 years ago.
16, okay.
There's an initial fluctuation of sort of chemicals being pumped into this thing that slowly begin to decrease, and there is a system error, and there is a total failure logged sort of one after the other within like a few hours of each other. About just over at this point it's actually going to be 18 years ago. Sorry, please ignore that.
Gotcha.
So 18 years ago. And then there's a lot of like attempts to reboot and external damage detected, structural integrity damaged, lots of little errors popping up after this total failure over the course of about 16 years. There's just one after the other. Every couple of weeks for years on end, there is just error, as if like this thing is being beaten up over the years, and it keeps logging in errors. You also notice there is a section of the internal data storage of this device, this cryopod that has the capacity to it stores these log errors over time, and it needs storage space to do that. A section of the storage space is cordoned off for something else. You see that it's been reserved for something, and there's another firewall blocking that path. And it's labeled that sort of section, essentially, that the folder, essentially, that lies within is it's called Jackrabbit.
Okay. Well, I know what I need to fucking get into. So the one question I had was, you mentioned chemicals being pumped into the pod. That is something that would be part of the pod's essential functions, right? It's not like, okay, yeah. And it's so essentially the system started to fail, and then the software had a total shutdown.
Yep.
Okay. Am I able to tell if is the door on the pod still sealed, or is it gone, open, off on the hinges somewhere else?
Like mostly there, but like the glass is broken and the metal's dented.
Okay.
So it doesn't shut anymore.
Obviously no one inside the pod.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So then I'm going to attempt to crack through the security of the Jackrabbit folder.
Okay. So it's going to be, I think, probably just I'm going to say subvert a system.
Okay.
And
that page, but
yeah, I mean, essentially it's a program in check again. It's just a hack check, but it's subvert a system sets the DC.
Let me see. Okay, example hacking, acting, subvert.
It's just a
assist-
DC 10.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's all it is.
yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and attempt to do that. Program int.
Mhm.
11, baby.
Hey.
Ayo.
You notice as you get into this section, there is a lot of corruption, a lot of files that are reading as not taking up space when they should, and they are busted to all hell. But you do see, about 2 years ago, there is a file, it's an audio file that is still intact, and it's playable and downloadable.
Gotcha.
Would you like to
I'm
listen to
fucking
it?
doing that, baby. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you hit play on this audio file.
And
And-
I would like to mention I'm playing this internally. This is not
Yeah. As you
being
play this
played through
internally, and
speakers for Jeff.
your eyes roll in the back of your head. Essentially, you you hear a
Okay. Wait. Is this thing working? Yeah, I think so. Alright. This is gonna be my last record on this pod. The thing's been falling to shambles for a while now, and well, without my other arm, I don't really have the means to keep dragging it around. Hell, maybe if I leave this piece of shit behind, some half-irradiated scaver will crack the defense protocols, hear this, and come try and find me. In the event that that's what's happening, that you're listening to this, you desert-dwelling mutated motherfucker, good luck. That's all I have to say on that. Now, on to some more important business. It's almost the 16-year anniversary since I was accidentally thawed, and I have so little to show for it. My run-in with the Abyss Walkers was esoteric and overall not helpful. I mean, I still can't believe that those cannibalistic bastards thought I would just... Never mind. The trail went cold for a while. Till recently, one of the locals in this shit pile of a planet mentioned a hometown trader he did business with off Saracon 3. Gracool by the name of Kleck. Supposedly has all sorts of off-world tech, including a top-of-the-line cryo chamber. The kind that I felt like I heard the description of before. I wonder where he got it.
and the audio log cuts out.
Gotcha. So the last, I'm assuming that is almost the extent of the data that Weevil can gather. The last thing I want to try and do is to 100% backing that file up to my own internal record, so Weevil has it. And B, I am still salvaging for any record of the name of the person who belonged to this pod. And barring that, I'm going to attempt to see if there's a way for me to run a sample. Weevil probably wouldn't have samples of everyone's voices on
Absolutely
his
not.
hard drive of everyone. But I was gonna say, like, oh, maybe I want to try and narrow down an age range. Because it's purely audio, but it's a man, and it's someone who is probably between 20 and 50 years old, plus 16 years. So I'm gonna essentially try and, I don't know. I don't think there's any necessary suspects. But fuck. Yeah, I mean, never mind. As I talked through that, I was like, yeah, there's no real way to connect this to a specific person unless I can find a name in the database.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of
Gotcha.
this has been damaged because, like I said, this pod has literally been dragged through the desert, it looks like, and Jeff has not exactly taken the best care of it. These fuel makers aren't exactly tech-savvy architects. Or archaeologists,
Gotcha.
I should say.
Okay. Sorry, I'm also writing what he said, but I know you also have a recording of this, and
Yeah,
it sounded like
you
you had that
feel
pretty done. Anyway,
kind of warm hand on the back of your chassis as Jeff approaches you, and he's like, hey, so you've been kind of staring at that thing for a while now. So what do you say we strike up a deal? Why don't you why don't you go gather your friends and we can talk things over, all of us. Okay?
Okay. Yeah. Weevil will straighten up, and before he even responds to that, he's going to say,
All right, I believe negotiations would be in order. However, you mentioned that you came to this planet roughly 3 years ago, and I was able to find data that indicated that the previous owner or occupant of this vessel was here about 2 years prior. Were you able to meet anyone who fit the description? How did this pod come to be in this shipwreck? It is not of the same make as this vessel.
No, this is just a piece of scrap one of the guys found and brought back because, you know, I'm interested in that sort of thing. It was abandoned whenever, you know, when the boys found it, they tied it to the back of their motorcycles and just dragged it back here via some ropes.
Okay. Yeah, so
Weevil gives like a robotic nod, like a once head down, head up, and he is going to say,
very well. However, I believe it is important for your and our continued survival that you attempt to continue the role that you have taken in being the leader of these people. If you show any signs of weakness, I am worried that that may be interpreted as an opportunity to strike. So, therefore, do not drop the facade of violent gang leader. Also, are they actually cannibals? Because that is very concerning.
What? No, they're not. They're not cannibals. No.
Okay.
They feed bodies to the the combustion engines in the warehouse as part of the biofuel making process, and it's pretty fucked up. But no. Corpses
Ashes to
are
ashes,
much.
dust to dust.
I don't know what that means. Corpses are much better for fuel making than they are for eating. Is all I'll say about that.
Good, because the prion diseases would probably make short work of their already radiation-addled brains.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Weevil will say,
it may be most prudent if you are the one to summon the other newcomers. And by newcomers, I mean my friends. We also have several others that are not within the immediate vicinity that we should locate and attempt to communicate with. However, I believe if we do so without caution, that may paint myself and my companions in a very negative light in the eyes of your friends.
And so Weevil will take out the radio, and he's going to turn to him again and say,
do I have your permission to attempt to contact the allies of myself up on the lip of the crater?
Yeah, sure.
Cool.
Janko, Mr. Quick, Mr. Janko Quick, Ms. Sarah Lockhart, Mr. Fritz. I believe that we may be able to come to a peaceful, mutually beneficial agreement. Myself, Mr. T. Flower, and Mr. Roadkill are all alive and well.
We cut back to Roadie and Collie as Roadie's hip begins to very muffled, very quietly vibrate with Weevil's voice just coming
does
through.
Jenko not have... I was attempting to contact Jenko.
Yeah, he doesn't have a radio, dude.
Oh, man.
We went over this last session for some reason.
Yeah,
the two people with radios both wound up in camp.
Yep, okay, never mind then. But, yeah, Weevil does that once, and then it's like, oh, wait a minute, fuck.
Jeff looks at you and says, okay, why don't you, this is all, okay, oh boy. Why don't you go and talk to your friends and tell them to make their way to the outside of this ship. I'll send word to Rage to go fetch your friends and let pass the word around that you all are not to be harmed, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Honored guests,
cool.
New members and the like.
Yeah, and Weevil will also propose
If it comes down to it, in the interest of mutually beneficial arrangements, I believe I may have some ability to alleviate the symptoms of the worst of the radiation sickness in one or two of your team members.
No, that's a
So
whole.
that may also be an effort to prove mine and my companion's usefulness.
That is a whole other beast, my friend. There we've been battling radiation sickness forever. We only have enough fuel to operate so many, masks and suits. The boys, Bullets, has been talking about a raid on Shitpile for a while now to steal their rad meds and, potentially, do a whole lot of other damage in there. But that's not important right now because we need to get the fuck off of this planet, and you're my ticket out of here, bud. So go get your friends, and
Yeah.
I'll Rage see to the rest.
Okay.
Before I go, what planet are you originally from?
I hardly remember at this point.
This is Alex saying I didn't think of that.
Or
Maybe, I don't know.
Or maybe
What street did you grow up on?
he's just being a little coy.
Oh.
Maybe he doesn't want to tell you.
Yeah.
What's your mother's father's name?
What are you trying to get into my bank account?
What was the name of your first and oldest pet? What is the make and model of your first car?
Where did you go to middle school?
Cool. So we're gonna fast forward a little bit here.
Yeah.
As Weevil comes out of the ship with Jeff slowly following, his mask now on. The two part ways. Weevil, he heads over to Roadie and Collie, still around the campfire, chatting it up with some of the fuel makers. And Jeff goes to find Rage and talk some things over. And you guys see briefly as Weevil, Roadie, and Collie reunite and start catching up on things and filling each other in on what's been going on. Rage and a couple of the men make their way up out of the camp towards where Janko and the cars are, essentially, where they were.
Oh shit! So they're sending them without us.
Yeah, they're just gonna fetch them.
Yeah, but they're
Okay,
gonna see that fucking motorcycle. That's what I'm worried about.
So yeah, so we'll get to that in a second. So Weevil, Roadie, and Collie, you guys are reunited essentially. I'm assuming Weevil catches you guys up on as in a hushed way.
Yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily tell them everything with the pod because that's
Yeah.
Weevil's business. But like, I tell them, there's an assemblage of scrap in there, and also Jeff claims to. I don't say this very loudly, but
Their leader, Jeff, claims to want to get off-world, so that is incentive for us to be able to help each other.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, we cut back to Janko, who is on the north end of the crater. Sarah, who is on the far east end of the crater, overlooking from a secondary vantage point, and Kits, who is a little ways back with the vehicles. And Janko, you see this mean-looking, mohawked raider with black and white face paint come marching up with two fuelmaker thugs kind of in tow behind her. They all kind of have their shotguns kind of slung on their backs or whatever. They don't look like they're necessarily like stomping up here ready for war, but they look kind of very purposeful, and they're walking up the ramp to leave camp. You last were crouched on the edge of the crater, essentially, sort of above the ramp. So I guess as they're approaching, you might like duck back to hide a little bit. You hear them pass underneath you, and you're able to kind of peek back out. You see that, okay, they're going to come up sort of closer to where Sarah is, sort of between where you and Sarah are. And Sarah she flashes you a look across the way, and you see like two little blips of the comm light to be like, That was your signal for like, should we move? Like, should we start shooting, essentially, is what the question, I guess, is more so, with the two lips. You have the cars a couple 100 feet back behind a large dune. where Kits is waiting still. What do you do?
I suddenly don't want to just rush in and nab our people. I'm kind of curious.
Well, you know that there's like 20 fucking fuel makers down there still, so
Oh, I
yeah, that's
know.
probably a bad
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, I
you
don't like
did
that idea anymore.
Probably also see Weevil come out unharmed
Yeah.
and is
Yeah,
talking
you do
with the
see
others,
Weevil
but
just very, chill, and he's talking with
All
Colin.
right. So Janko's gonna look back into the camp one last time to just get like a understanding of where all of our party members are, and he's gonna look at his leader guy and look at Rage or whoever's walking up with him. There's their guns are like necessarily drawn, and I'm gonna gesture to Sarah not to just start shooting because that's like a death sentence, and I'm just gonna, I guess, fucking meet them and try to just be cool about it. Because, but no, I'm gonna walk towards where our car is so that. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna walk back over to my car in case I have to use it for any reason.
So you're
And they can
gonna
meet me there.
so instead of meeting them like you just said, you're gonna walk away from the crater back towards the cars.
the vehicles, plural.
That's I said cars, but yeah.
Yeah, I was driving home at a point.
Actually, no, I don't really want them to know where the cars are. I'll just meet them straight up, and I'll just talk to them and make the deal there in the middle of the between the cars and the camp. I don't want to tell them where the cars are yet.
Right. So you head up the way to meet them sort of in the middle, and as you sort of make it about halfway to the ramp, they crest the top of the ramp and begin looping back around towards your direction. And Rage and these two guys, they lock eyes with you for a second. And you see one of the fuel makers reach for his gun.
What the fuck is that thing? Is that some sort of... is that a baby sandcrawler?
And another one behind Rage goes,
I don't know, but let's shoot it first and ask questions about it later.
and Rage kind of...
Let's cut him open for science!
yeah, essentially.
Let's blow this motherfucker away.
And Rage like, calm the fuck down, you psychopaths. From like 60 feet out, she kind of calls out over the windy desert, just gusts whipping around up here, visibility kind of low. She yells out to you. So are you Janko? Are you this secret survivor? Another one of these survivors we're supposed to be looking for up here? Or are you some other unlucky soul who just happened to cross our camp?
Well, it's not a secret now. I'm really just... I was just hanging back in case you guys are trouble, but I see we're all friends now, and I'd like to just be open about that. My gun's like holstered at this point too, like I'm not about to shoot or anything, and I'll just keep walking towards them.
Yeah. She kind of calls out. She's like, "Okay, but you didn't really answer the question now, did you? Are you Janko? I mean, your answer implies yes, but you never really. I need you to say it."
I am. That's me.
Okay, very good, very good. I was told there was one. There was more. It wasn't just you, was it?
Who told you that? By the way, was it the robot?
No, camp leader told me to come up here and fetch the rest of the crew. I was told there was a Janko, and I was just told there was more people up here.
I looked at the camp leader.
He's not here.
Oh, I thought he walked up with her.
No,
Okay, never mind.
it's Rage and two goons.
Okay. All right, cool. I'll be like, cool. There's two more. We
Okay, you
guess
want
we
to
can,
fucking get him then? I mean,
yeah.
I don't have all day. It's fucking cold, windy up here. Like, can we hurry this up, please?
All right. I'm gonna go to Kit's first, just so that Sarah can understand what I'm doing without freaking her out.
Yep.
I'm gonna
And
go.
essentially, you're able to walk back towards the cars by yourself. Come back over the hill with a lizard man. You hear Rage call out. Come on, pick up the pace. Don't have all day. Stop dragging your fucking feet. She's like rushing you along, and at this point, as Sarah kind of locks eyes as you and Kit's returning, she pushes herself up out of the sand and comes out of her hiding spot, and will join you guys as well. So it's the 6 of you guys at the top of the hill, essentially. She's like, "All right, is this?" Rage says, "Is this everybody? Is the whole fucking gang's here? Can we go back down into the warmth now?"
That's everybody.
All right. Everybody keep your hands where I can see them. Any funny business, and yeah, we're all gonna blow your arms off and turn you into fuel or something. I don't know. Come on. She seems very exacerbated and tired. And she leads you guys down the ramp into the camp, where you guys are able to rejoin the rest of the party. She's like, your friends are over there. I'm told Jeff wants to see them. So, I don't know. Don't keep them waiting, because I'm going to have to blow your arms off and turn you into fuel or something. I don't... Fuck
It's
off.
like a
Looking
very
forward to
tired
it.
Disney World tour guide. Like,
Yeah.
I was gonna blow your
Yeah,
and
and
turn you into the fuel.
She goes, I'll kill you in a horrible way or something. I don't know. I'm going over
I
there.
believe it.
she T-poses and she slides off across the camp. You guys are all together around the soup spot now. As Weevil just finishes recapping to Roadie and Collie everything that happened. Janko and the rest of the crew pops up, and Weevil has to launch into his tirade to catch everybody up
Yeah,
again.
well, what Weevil does is he says,
Ah, Mr. Quick, Mr. Kitts, Ms. Lockhart. I was just recapping them. Allow me to fill you in.
and he just plays like a 300% speed recording of what he just said.
Sarah turns to Janko. I didn't catch a fucking lick of that, did you?
And then he when she says that, he's like, yes, I apologize. And then he tells them, but
So now that we're all together,
Right, well, I think now you guys got to get branded, right? Because you're going to be the fuel makers like us. And I'll show Janko my fucking bloody, burnt brand on my chest because I just got it. And Collie, I'll lift up Collie's shirt to show his fucking tramp stamp. he got.
Collie's beautiful, unblemished skin, just with a giant burn mark on it. Like it's
awful
I'd
brand.
rather not.
Yeah.
Listen, man, I don't really want to like flaunt this around. I think it's kind of ugly.
I'm now starting to think you should have gotten like a
I-
butterfly or something.
To be honest, I also think it's ugly, but more because of the placement. I don't know why you'd put it there.
Because
I mean,
not-
it's a cool brand. I like the brand. It's a cool design that I like it, but I wouldn't get. I mean, look at mine, and I'll show my lower back, which is completely bare, despite the rest of my body being tattooed. It's
you have a reverse tramp stamp.
Yeah, I have a reverse tramp stamp. See, I would never get the lower back tattooed. It says something about your character that I don't think you want to say, which now you're saying to everybody.
Well, like, man, it's not even in the center, so I don't really think I wouldn't really even consider it a tramp stamp.
I would. Anyway, Janko, I think you're up.
Janko like steps on his foot to make him shut up.
Steps on Roadie's foot?
Yeah, I don't want to do this.
You're so small. I think you misstepped. Anyway, you ready?
Oh man, we're gonna fucking smell burnt hair if he gets that.
Yeah.
No.
Someone
brand is
get a
bigger than my
razor. We gotta
body.
shake
And
the weasel.
everybody, he's got to. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Sarah's like, I don't exactly want to get fucking marked up by these psychopaths, so why don't we hush, old man, and maybe not all of us have to get that hideous blemish.
Or I'm gonna mark you up.
I think it's cool. So
Okay. Well,
Weevil will like pick up a piece of charcoal from the edge of the fire and say,
Please draw the emblem on my chassis.
I'll do it.
You know, yeah, fuck, why not?
Yeah, Roadie will happily do that. Yeah, I mean, he's not very good. You know, he's not a tattoo artist or anything. It's, you know, but he drew it as best he can.
Wait, dude.
Carly, come over here. Let me use yours as a reference.
Wait.
Carly, bend over.
Guys, I really think we're all supposed to be fuel makers now. I thought we were just kind of like their friends, dude. Why are we all
Well,
part
no.
of the thing?
No, Carly. I don't. Okay. We got the brand because we're now fuel makers. You and me, we're fuel makers. They're not. They can be friends, maybe. But we got it. Don't you remember? We got it because it's either this or they send us out. So.
But we're like chill with the leader now.
Okay, so I guess here's what I'll paint a picture. 2 strangers wandered into their camp and they're like, okay, you can join us or you can leave, and you guys decided to join them. Meanwhile, there is a secret conversation happening that only you guys are privy to. So as far as the rest of the camp is considered, yeah, you guys are the newest initiates, and everybody else in the camp, for some reason, the leader has taken a liking to them and is letting them kind of wander about camp and not making them go through the initiation process. So that's you notice people are looking at your group a little fucking weird as you guys, we're friends with the leader now. Nobody knows you're friends with the leader except for you guys. You got to understand from everybody else's perception, like, yeah, things are weird right now. So you're being given a little bit of grace because of the circumstances that have unfolded and the timeline that's happened. But like, yeah, not everybody's in the know and not everybody gets it.
Oh,
Gotcha.
weird.
We should maybe somehow take advantage of this leverage that we have, and
Oh yeah,
do
absolutely.
something useful before people start giving us, tasks that are probably murderous.
Yeah, I'm looking around for Jeff because he mentioned wanting to meet with us.
Yeah, you're supposed to go back to his house. Go back to his lair.
So yeah, Weevil will say,
Please follow me. I will lead us back to Jeff's 2-story bungalow.
and he's gonna say like he wants to meet with us. This is the leader. He's filled everyone in. They're on the level. So unless anyone has anything more pressing, I think Weevil will say I think we should go to meet with Jeff because he's waiting for us and. We're
Okay.
getting a lot of shifty looks.
Well, Jenko, if you decide to get the brand, let me know.
It definitely will. You'll know very fast. Know as soon as I want it.
So you guys
And
make your
walk
way
off. It's not gonna
towards the group, or towards the large ship structure that the leader uses as his abode, his lair. And as you guys follow Weevil towards this and parse the curtain, you hear a dark voice coming from, within the darkness within this abode.
Who enters Fuel Maker Chieftain Jeff's chambers unannounced?
Weevil.
Oh, thank God.
Like,
And company.
Who dares else enter Fuel Maker Chieftain Jeff's chambers aside from Weevil? State your name and your intentions.
like Collie,
Jenko.
like Weevil's friend, like man.
You turned the 3 words.
And I'm
into
like
8 word
Roadie.
sentence.
I'm like Roadie, but also just Roadie.
Yeah. And this large fella approaches you guys, his sort of welder's masks on.
And are you guys cool, or?
Weevil pings like a microwave and he goes,
Mr. Colley's internal body temperature is 99.3 degrees Fahrenheit. Mr. Roadie's internal body temperature is 98.7
No,
degrees Fahrenheit.
is he hip? Are you guys hip? Can you guys
Yeah,
keep a
trust me,
secret?
man.
Well, I mean, I
It
was
seems
like
that their
20 years
pelvises
ago.
are intact, correct?
Let's all talk over each other. I think that's
Yeah.
really good.
No, listen to me.
No,
Wait,
that's not
wait,
over
wait,
each
no,
other.
no. Listen, man. I know I'm the coolest out of everyone here, considering he's a bat, he's a toaster, and his face looks like dog food. So at least I'm chill.
Ooh.
Yeah, to be fair, Roadie is not ugly. He's just not pretty.
Well, it depends who you ask. Jeff is
Yeah,
like,
my mama says I'm really beautiful, actually. So
Right. And you guys are all with your toaster friend here and trying to get off this hunk of junk, right? You guys don't want to be fuel makers. You guys don't seem like you have it cut out. You guys don't seem cut out for it. Am I right? You guys want to get the fuck up? Please tell me you want to get the fuck off this place.
That's kind of the game plan, man.
yep, that's the plan.
Okay, great. This is all privileged, confidential information. If any of this leaks, this chamber, if I hear any, discussions about what happened here, any violations of your non-disclosure agreement, there will be hell to pay. Please don't betray me,
and he reaches up and slowly takes off his helmet and reveals his face. Okay, so, thanks for meeting me here, and like I was telling your robotic friend here, I believe it's fate that you all wound up where you wound up here, and that you all managed to get here alive without being ripped to pieces by those animals outside. No offense, he looks at Django. I just want to get off this place too, so I figure maybe we can help each other with that.
You need to take a breath.
Oh, I take a lot of breaths, you know? Part of the, here, and he actually shows you the inside of the helmet, and there's like a little paper bag in there. He goes, I breathe
Like
into this.
hyperventilating.
Yeah, I breathe into this quite a bit, honestly. Anyway, short story long. I'm sure your friend has filled you in on some of the details, but I don't want to be here, and I don't have what it takes to be a warlord. But I'm a little too deep at the moment, so I think I just need to skip town. But there's not really anywhere to skip to because Shitpile would hang me on sight, and so far I don't have a way off this planet. But I think you guys could, find one. I'm not sure if you've seen, but the crashed, sort of ruined ore miner to the left of this ship it's not in functional condition, but it could be with a little bit of TLC. So maybe that would be an option. Or you guys are new faces in town. Nobody recognizes you. Maybe the people of Shitpile could offer some service or something along those lines. But you have something that nobody else here has, anonymity. So, let's work together. I can provide some resources for you, and hopefully you can come through for me. Does it sound like a fair agreement? Or maybe should I just kill myself? I don't know.
That plan's the best thing I've heard in days.
Yeah,
honestly.
Weevil's eyes and chest light glow red, and he says,
I'm going to crush your skull like a grape.
Fuck.
And
on guard.
Yeah. I fucking with him, of course, but like assuming he's like, oh my god, like Weevil goes.
Yeah. He goes,
I got you good.
Cowers behind a bench.
Yeah.
I believe that may be a beneficial assessment of the situation. It seems that there is animosity between yourselves and the Shitpile team, the Shitpile family, the long line of Shitpiles. May I ask what is the animosity there, or is it simply a situation of two individual groups competing for resources in a resource-scarce planet?
Honestly, that's the shake of it, but it's a little more complicated, slightly. Well, I mentioned Toothpick and he's like behind a like a filing cabinet at this point where he ran when Weevil's tried to scare him, so he's just crouched behind a filing cabinet talking to you guys at this point. Well, and I mentioned to your friend here, Weevil, Toothpick was the previous owner, the leader of the fuel makers. He was cold and he was a fearsome warlord, like I supposedly am. And he would, well, to look out for his own people, he would, raid shit pile and kidnap its citizens and turn them into fuel and steal their food and water and radiation meds and stuff, and none of it was very nice or good, and it just spiraled from there. So there's an adversarial relationship, I would say, so to say the least, yes. And I can't back off from that now. I can't just say, hey, no more raids on shit pile, everybody. We're actually gonna just starve a little bit more, and because warlord imagery and all. So yeah, we're kind of the bad guys in this situation, I'll be honest. But there's not much I can do about it. Not from my position.
Okay. What I'm hearing is they don't like obviously that you're a fuel maker, but do they know who you are outside of your fuel maker getup? Do they see in your face? Do they hate you, Jeff?
Maybe not, exactly, but there's this, a sneaking suspicion that they could tell. All it takes is one bioscan to see the scarring through the clothes of the brands and whatnot. There's ways they can find out without having to know me. It's not advisable for me to just walk on over in there, otherwise I would have done it a long time ago.
Alright, it sounds like we gotta go to shit pile eventually, but you can't, just walk into the town square, so you're gonna be hiding out outside of shit pile, just like I was hiding out outside of.
No, I'll be here. I'll be here. Around the safety of people who worship me, and who are heavily armed and will protect me with their lives. Thank you very much.
Okay, then we would have, if you're staying here, we would have to come up with some way to reasonably justify extracting you here without your people.
Okay.
Crazy.
Well, I mean, maybe when you have a way out, I can maybe meet you. But you don't have a way out yet. I'm not just gonna come hang out with you outside a shit pile and sit in the fucking sand all day while you talk things over and maybe find a. Oh god! And he opens one of the filing cabinets and he puts his head in the filing cabinet. Just.
I kicked the filing cabinet closed.
Closes on his neck a little. He's like, "Why did you do that?"
Kill him.
You attempted to squish his head like a grape.
What the fuck is wrong with you people?
I did not do that.
You did it. You said it.
You put those words into the world.
You know what? Fuck it. I shoot him. No. Okay.
No, but he puts his head in the filing cabinet. He starts hyperventilating and screaming into the cabinet. You're like, we have a car. He's
Okay, so I'm trying to put together an idea for how to get in the shit pile. I feel like if we go up, they're gonna know that we're fuel makers, or at least quote unquote fuel makers too, because of our brands, me and Kali.
Just kind of motion to our brands.
So maybe we stay back and just hang out and drink and eat, and then you guys go do it.
And Roadie will sit down.
I will say we have meta aspect. We have found multiple different ways to split the party multiple times. I 100% agree.
Yeah.
I don't think we should send you guys up there as the first line of defense, but I would love if we I think Weevil will vocalize.
I believe it would be prudent if we had some form of ground support. Assuming that the members of Shitpile are not raving cannibal bastards who will attempt to eat us or disassemble me for scrap at the first opportunity, I believe that we may stand a fair chance of, at the very least, attempting negotiations with them. We are not aware of their capabilities and or resources, and while I think it is unlikely that they would have some form of interstellar craft at their disposal, we may be able to find a lead to somewhere that does.
Wait.
And perhaps we can...
Go.
No.
Hey guys, my name is Kali. No. I believe that we may be able to attempt to negotiate and possibly better relations between the fuel makers and the shit pilers.
Oh, I don't know about that.
No?
A lot of bloodshed over many years. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I
sound
don't
as if
know
you
if
are
we should
shrinking.
be trying to broker a peace between two warring groups. Maybe let's focus on something small, like not being here on this planet instead.
I think if we find some common ground between Shitpile and ourselves, namely that somebody there might also want to get off this planet, we can ingratiate ourselves to somebody smart who has resources, and maybe
I'm smart and I have resources and I want to get off this planet. You're describing me, little guy.
dude, half your resources want to kill you if they realize, you know, he gestures at the filing cabinet and him crouching behind it.
Wait, so like, what if we send over some of us who aren't branded as as fuel makers, and they can get initiated into the shit pilers, and if there's a way to communicate, maybe we could form a plan to take all of like the right materials at the same time and make off with them. Dude,
Yeah, I mean,
Good plan.
that's that. It seems like that might be the best option. Yeah.
That would put the lives of dozens, potentially hundreds, or maybe even upwards of 1,000 individual humans in danger, and that is incompatible with my Hippocratic oath.
Oh, boy.
If there is a way where we are able to leave resources for these groups to be able to continue their survival, then it would help allay my moral programming to not have to condemn them all to death by starvation, or death by falling rocks, or death by radiation poisoning.
How about
I
this?
can live with letting them slowly wither away, as long as it is not directly our fault.
maybe we
But what
could,
does
like,
that have?
build a beacon or something. Build like a radio tower.
Yeah, if
I
there's
think
not a
smooth
ship
jazz
here,
would make their lives much easier.
Well, we
Okay,
could,
I feel like
Paragon 3 or something.
Ooh,
yeah,
actually,
like plan one would be perfect. Find a ship. That's gonna happen though. Plan two would be signal successfully to actually find a way to like I don't know, fucking activate a satellite, send a signal, get a ship to come
Yeah.
here.
yeah, I mean, the
Yeah,
one.
well, Jeff has a lot of like fuel, so maybe what we could do is like really ramp up a distress beacon so that it actually reaches Saragon 3 rather than just reaching the orbit of Saragon 2.
Yeah, I mean, we have. So we do have that ore miner. That is like a crashed. I know we talked about it very briefly last session, but from what I remember, it's like this busted up single person fighter type thing. Not a fighter, probably more of a shuttle. That we could potentially try and repair to at the very least get airborne, and then maybe we could we could factor that into our plans. You know, if we're able to get that thing going, that could make crossing the desert over to Shitpile 100 times easier.
For what it's
And-
worth, the ore miner, it's a starfighter class starship, so it can go into space.
And if I remember
shit.
correctly, there's only 2 seats in the cockpit, right?
There's one seat in the cockpit and a storage unit underneath that houses, ore.
So
Not enough for like a whole party to fit.
You could potentially all ride in the storage container. I'll send you a picture of what this thing looks like to show that
God, are you gonna send the fucking
it's
Titanic
right
sub?
on my dick, yeah.
Somebody put the Titanic sub in GTA.
Yeah.
It implodes.
that's amazing.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, Lord. Is it handouts? Yeah, sorry. I forget where I store shit half the time. Kind of looks like this. So one person sits up top and pilots this thing, but then there's a container underneath that's meant to hold a couple of tons of ore. So it's a big enough, it's a shipping size container. But this thing.
This guy's name is. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But this thing is battered to hell, along with a lot of the other scraps. So you would have to do some potentially hefty repairs or find a couple of components to get this thing in working order again.
Right, and
otherwise Jeff would just pilot it himself.
Yeah.
Right.
section in the bottom there like climate controlled and with
No.
life support? Or yeah, that's possibly an issue.
It's like vac sealed, like it is a closed unit, so it doesn't let air in. But like,
Right.
it doesn't really. It's meant
Yeah,
to
it would
store. It's
basically
meant to
be-
store ore. So like,
right, you'd be riding
you know
in
what
a giant
doesn't need.
Ziploc bag with a little bit of air and no circulation and a bunch of other people.
Yeah.
So not an optimal solution, but who knows? Maybe you could rig the systems to share the life support somehow. if
Yeah,
you
or we
really
could
need to,
find, maybe like find oxygen tanks or something, which
Yeah.
would be something that would be used in mechanical stuff. So it's a possibility, I guess.
Yeah, you know
But
the fuel
my
makers have
issue-
these jury-rigged oxygen tanks / vac suits that are essentially gasoline
Right.
powered. And then
Oh, that's good in an enclosed space.
Exactly. The fuel maker getup is essentially they all have these like backpacks on that almost look like somebody who would carry a flamethrower. How they have like the big tanks on their back, and these pile their gas masks or fuel their gas masks rather. That are again like fuel powered. And then Kits has a vac suit, and there might be other vac suits and oxygen tanks around as well. So Dylan is onto something there for sure. It's a possibility.
All right, so then it seems like that will be our potentially a solution for how to all fit in there and get into space / to the next planet. Jeff, could you maybe like assign us to check out the ship or something so it makes sense for us to go and examine it a little closer? Me and Kali can do that while the rest of you maybe go over to ship pile,
Yeah. And Weevil will actually pipe up with an idea, and he's gonna say,
I believe that I have scraped all of the useful and pertinent information off of the beacon that I was able to locate in here. I may be able to attempt to work with Mr. Quick to have myself program a code that would allow us to create a long-range transponder or signal off-world, or possibly achieve some form of longer-range communication than our radios currently allow.
and essentially what I'm saying is I might be able to hijack components of the beacon and turn it into something that would either be a distress signal or something that we could use to communicate between those of us who go to ship pile and those of us that stay at the crater. I don't know. It's possible. It's not likely because it's kind of two separate systems, I imagine. Like, it's probably a closed off loop, but it's pre-tech, so it's probably still in decent working order, and, that's how he found the signal. So, maybe there's something there. Like we leave an A cell with it and we give a battery or something.
And
like maybe the ship pilers are trying to get off the world too.
Oh, I don't know about that. They seem to be, there have been like Shitpile has some long-term residents. They've been around as long as I can not remember, but as long as I could gather from asking the men about it. Fuel makers and Shitpilers have hated each other for a long time, and I know they're a little more civilized maybe than the fuel makers, but I guess my reason for saying I'm not so sure about that is because I have a theory, and I can't prove it because I haven't been to Shitpile, but they're getting supplies somehow, supplies that are not available on this world. So my theory is that they have a way off world, and they're choosing to stay here. Which is maybe a good reason to stop by Shitpile and ask them about. Maybe we can steal their ship or hitch a ride or I don't know, give them some money.
I don't know if they need money on a planet like this, dude.
Okay, sexual favors then. I don't know.
Okay,
You be the favor giver.
Yeah, Roadie's pretty good at that. He probably learned a lot about it in jail.
If they're getting supplies, they might.
I sure
be
did. I
part
am the best at it, actually.
some kind of not colony, but maybe some kind of like resource, like harvesting situation. Maybe like, does anybody use this planet for any resource gathering?
Have you been around here long? Have
I
you
mean,
taken a look
is there
outside?
oil?
There's fucking nothing here.
There's not even oil. Okay.
I not that I found. Not that I would
is
know what to
fine.
do
Okay.
with.
Well, I think if there was oil, they might not need to make biofuel.
Yeah, that's why we grind people up and turn them into gasoline. Because this planet
Alright.
is covered in radiation. Half of my men are sick. We have no way off of it. There's barely any food to go around. We have to decide, well, what do we need more of today? Fuel to power all of our vehicles and weapons and gas masks so we can protect ourselves from the air that's literally killing us? Or food so we all don't, start cannibalizing ourselves? Like, that's the kind of situation we're all in, and I've been in for 3
Okay.
years. It's fucking
Alright,
bad,
then-
man.
Then we gotta figure
It was
out
bad, man.
where Shitpile is getting the resources from. So we gotta go there eventually.
Yes.
And we don't think that this miner ship is able to be repaired from here. We probably have to get resources from Shitpile. Is that the consensus?
We haven't even looked at it, so I feel like we can't really draw a conclusion. one way
I'd
or
love to
another
take a look
until
at
we've
that
had the chance
eventually.
Turns out it's just out of
Like-
gas.
I mean, it's reasonable. That's a very reasonable assumption, but we haven't looked at it beyond an initial glance on the way in. So
We're gonna have to tell the fuel makers something when they ask why we're being given permission to poke around that ship.
I like the idea that Mr. Roadkill proposed of acting under the guise that Jeff has assigned himself and Collie to duty of inspecting that ship. However, it seems counter to the philosophy of the fuelmakers to attempt to repair a flying vessel. So I believe that it could be pitched as these two are perhaps proficient in mechanical engineering and may be able to salvage parts from the ship that otherwise were there.
Right.
Yeah, for
I
what
was
it's
thinking
worth.
the same thing. I just got interrupted by dumb things happening.
For what it's worth,
every time I hear Kai in the background, I'm like, canonically, that is fucking Jablimbo in the background, like making little.
Oh yeah.
it's a very good
Yeah.
idea. I've been telling my men to gather these scrap resources, like, and he gestures towards the pod and the wall of the ship, where on the other side of the wall is this ore miner, stuff like that, because we could potentially use it for more advanced weaponry to get one over on Shitpile. He gives a little arm pump. And sarcastically says that. But yeah, in reality, it's a secret way for me to try and look for a way off the planet. So maybe you could run with that lie. I don't know. You be creative, but yeah, don't tell the men you're trying to escape.
Yeah. With that, Weevil will say,
I wonder what the two-prong approach could be, because if we are splitting up once more, and we are leaving and heading in the direction of Shitpile, we have enough space in the graph car to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, so we should be able to go without an issue. Apart from that, I wonder what the motive could be viewed as. Are we going on a scouting mission in advance of some form of raid? Are we going to attempt to prove ourselves? Or are we attempting to leave the crater under the guise of being allowed to not join the fuel makers, and that is our way out without arousing too much suspicion? And then Collie and Roadie could stay behind under the guise of having been inducted into this cult.
but that also,
But that also provides the issue of if we attempt to come back later, they will ask why we are back here.
it's just a way for us to get out of the crater, basically.
We're gonna have to pretend that we're doing recon on Shitpile and come back with something useful.
Mm.
And then just not use it.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe I could attempt to, or we could attempt to divert suspicions if I were to attempt to administer aid on the most ill of the members of your team. And then from there, we have an excuse to say we are looking for more radiation sickness medicine out in the desert without necessarily saying our destination. And therefore, we can act under the guise that we are making negotiations. However, the fearsome leader of the fuelmakers has his own motives and therefore is asking these outsiders to aid him in exchange for resources that the fuelmakers have.
Just like,
If
I
we
feel like
drip
it could
a
be-
bit of the truth, then perhaps we may help alleviate suspicions.
I mean, it could be believable that Jeff is trying to encourage a more subtle approach of getting sources by using non-branded individuals to sneak up and fuck people over. It could be our out.
That is fair, although I worry that the majority of these people do not understand nuance. If there are people acting in interest with their goals, then why are they not branded? I fear that that may be the course of thought that many of them take.
All right, how about this? If they don't respect the subtle approach, what if we convince them by... What if we mention that we think Shitpile is getting resources from somewhere potentially off-world, and we're going to investigate their resource flow, and we can't do it with the whole fucking army. We won't get answers that way.
I feel like that may be too much information. We may be able to just say, Shitpile is resource rich, and therefore we are headed in that direction to scout it out in advance of a raid. If we give them the idea that they are getting supplies from off-world, I fear that that may ignite more incentive to attempt to raid early and force our hand, thus by limiting our options.
Yeah.
Mr. Roadkill, Mr. Colley, what are your thoughts?
Honestly, we're going back and forth so much I'm starting to lose track. I think me and Kylie can look at the spacecraft, try and figure out what it'll need, what needs to be fixed, what we can, if need be, just take out of it. Weevil, I guess it's a good idea to try and ingratiate yourself a bit by curing them of radiation sickness, although I don't know what that'll do, considering, I think, Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, take a head out of the filing cabinet for a moment. There is they have MedX, do they not, or a medical thing that they're injecting to get rid of it?
Well, we use the masks as a preventative measure, but there's only so many. They get damaged and we don't have a great way to fix them reliably, and they require a decent amount of fuel to continually operate, so resources are spread thin, not everybody has one. So people slowly get sick, and we don't have the medication to administer to them to make them better once they start getting sick. So it's all just playing a waiting game of how long can you last.
So there's no treatment there.
We don't have it, but there is treatment. Shitpile in previous raids, part of the things, they're subject to the harshness of this planet as well. So they have supplies to protect from the environment as well. Suits, fuel, radiation meds, other pharmaceuticals, weapons, all sorts of things. So we've obtained those from raids in the past, but we can't exactly manufacture drugs in this rundown, bay of a ship.
I have an antibiotic cocktail on my person, which has a 83.335% chance of curing a radioactive disease sufferer's illness. I believe it may be a... Yes?
Did you say a cocktail? Like singular?
No. Oh, well, 2. However,
Great.
I believe it would be a beneficial use of it to attempt to aid one of the suffering members of your team.
Okay. I'm not going to stop you. It sounds good news, and it might win you some. But there's a lot of sick men out there.
Show me the sickest.
It's fucking
Tony
me,
Hawk.
dude. Yeah, he goes, it's
do
fucking
a
me, dude, and he
kickflip.
does a kickflip. We're all on the same page. just one brain cell. You just fired in unison for all of us. Tony Hawk,
Yeah.
kickflip. It's me, dude. He goes, you'll want to see yourself to the far tent, west half of camp, just near the ramp. That's our med bay, sick bay. It's where the ones who are beginning to no longer be able to move are kept.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, Weevil will say,
All right, then I believe we have the rough outline of a course of action. Mr. Colley, Mr. Roadkill, it sounds as if you will be staying here while the rest of us proceed in the graph car towards the shit pile settlement. However, I wonder if we still have a reason for going.
Trying to figure out what we want to get from ship pile. We might not even know until we get there, honestly.
Well, our
Information.
stated reason for our own purposes is, of course, to further our goal of getting off the planet. However, what we tell the other members of the Fuelmakers may provide importance.
You also know, for what it's worth, it is late at night at this point. You guys will probably almost definitely want to sleep here and then go in the morning.
Yeah.
Just as a heads
what
up.
if we snuck away late at night?
Or that.
Like we stayed in and then 5 a.m. sneak out of camp early.
Yeah.
And
I just mean you guys haven't slept in almost like 20, 30 hours.
Right. Okay, so then
I propose this course of action. I assume that there will be members of the Fuelmakers who are active and on watch. Is this correct, Mr. Jeff?
Yeah, we never know if ship pile is going to retaliate, so we have a watch going, 24/7.
Very good. Then I believe if I attempt to and am successful at assisting one of your team, we can say that that has earned myself and my team members who have not decided to gain entry into the Fuelmaker lifestyle a night's stay in the camp. Therefore, we may strategize and recover our energy and then leave early in the morning before many Fuelmakers are up and about to ask too many questions.
and that's exactly what I'm proposing,
I mean, my NPCs aren't going to argue with you.
I'm asking for the sake of the other players.
It generally makes sense. Also, is our car going to be okay overnight, or is it going to be destroyed by the sandstorm?
It would probably be okay. It's built sturdy. Probably scuffed and dinged up.
I'm going to be buried
scratched.
either. It's just...
And then, maybe you may have to dig it out a little bit, but yeah, probably not totally buried.
So the less they know about that car, the better. So...
It's a Tame Impala reference.
So what's the plan, boys?
I mean, I say Weevil goes over to the med bay, attempts to help someone, and then, we stay the night and leave early in the morning before too many people are up.
Okay.
Also, I'd like to get a look at the ship too, just as an
that's a
engineer.
very good idea.
So the party's gonna go over to the ship, and then Weevil's gonna break off to go to the med bay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if anyone asks, Weevil is here to help.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
we're all on the same page.
Jeff looks at all of you and says, "Don't let me down. Please don't betray me. Don't tell anybody anything about what we talked about here." And yeah, good luck. I'll try and spread
Do
the
not
word
worry.
that Colley, Roadie, you guys are new recruits and are to be trusted. And the rest of you are working on a special mission for me in relation to the raid we're planning on Shitpile in a few days.
Yeah.
Just in case there's, I don't know. Just try not to say anything too obvious or stupid or really much of, the less you say, the better, honestly. Maybe. I don't know. But, okay, good luck. I'll be here.
Also, question: what range do we have on these radios that Colley
2
and Roadie
miles.
had? 2 miles. All right, never mind.
Yeah, Weevil has one and Colley has the other, or Roadie has the other right now.
Yeah, and in that same vein, I do still want to take a look at the see if the beacon can be cannibalized to turn into some form of transponder or long-range communication.
Well, what are you doing? What are you doing then? Which one?
I know.
Want to do
I'll
90?
do that first.
You guys are all talking about 90 things.
Yeah.
Okay, so the entire party except for Weevil goes to check out this ship, and Weevil stays behind to look at the radio beacon.
Yes. And then we'll go to the med bay after.
We follow the rest of the party. Roadie, Colley, Sarah, Kits, and Jenko, as you all make your way out of the domain of Jeff.
The domain of Jeff.
Around the side of this ship butt home he resides within.
Whoa.
And to the ruins of this partially buried ore miner that is in need of repair. This thing is, like I said, it is a strike fighter class starship capable of flight, atmospheric flight, as well as outer space flight. So it can enter and leave planets' atmospheres, fly around like a plane, and do everything short of jump from solar system to solar system, seeing as it doesn't have a... it traditionally wouldn't, rather, have a spike drive to make meta-dimensional jumps. As you guys sort of get close to this thing, you see it's a large yellow rectangle, essentially, with a heavy-duty series of like 2 to 3 couplers on the bottom that attach to giant yellow hexagonal brackets that a storage unit, sort of like a shipping cargo container, then slots into, sort of as the picture, is showing. Very, very square, very harsh lines on this thing. It appears very industrial. Essentially, the stars with that number equivalent of just like a piece of like Caterpillar equipment, like the construction equipment that just all has that same industrialized look. You see one of those things, you're like, I've seen 100 of these things. They make them, they crank them out. They're all the fucking same. This kind of has that vibe going on for it. You guys begin to examine it, and I don't know. Would you guys, anyone like to say anything they're doing specifically? Does anyone want to check out the coupler, the storage container, the cockpit, the exterior damage, the underwire or under the hood kind of wiring, the engine? Let me know what you guys are kind of looking for.
Yeah. I think if anything, Kali would check out the cockpit because that's like his main station. He's not very good at like the internals, but
Sick.
you can probably check the gauges and if he can turn a key and if like the engine lights are on,
Yeah, I'll check the engine and in particular to see if it
there.
could it's there.
Check the engine to see if it's there, as I was completing your sentence as a joke.
Oh yeah. Honestly, kind of. But I want to essentially kind of. I want to see if the ship seems like it's been stripped of stuff already. If I can try and determine what's missing. I don't have any experience with this particular starship, so obviously it's a little bit limited. But I do want to kind of just see if I can figure out what would be missing, if anything.
Yeah, I'm trying to do the same thing, honestly. Figure out what we need to get this thing up in the air.
Okay, yeah, but that was... Okay, so, Michael, just to recap, I was asking for anything, like, specific you guys are doing. So, what do we need is, I don't know.
Hey, specifically, I mean, Django's thing is engines. I know Roadie's looking at that, but...
Cool. Engine 2, then. That's fine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're like... I got it. Roadie will step aside to examine something else if you think you'd have more experience. I mean, I don't know that much about engines.
He's gonna.
Then yeah, you do that, and I'll maybe like look at the internal, more I guess like the inside to see what's been stripped out of there. Maybe if like any of the sort of electrical stuff on the inside, has been stripped, moved, anything like that.
Okay. Kali, why don't you give me, I think, like a pilot int check to examine this stuff. Janko, you could give me like a fix int or fix whiz, I think. Obviously, you guys can argue for different stuff. And Roadie, I think, I don't know. I think I'd
fail that.
Here, one second. Yeah, 1 second. Roadie, I think maybe either a no, notice, or fix. I think I'd take any of those.
Okay,
I'll do tech.
I'm totally using my expert ability
Okay,
to
just
roll that five.
okay. I know. Okay, I'm trying to get through everybody's thing real quick, and then I'll address that. But yes, a 5 is not going to do it. That it would be a fail, so you can re-roll. You can use your ability. God damn it.
Fuck was that?
That's pretty good.
So Collie sitting in the cockpit and looking at the details with an 11. You're able to tell everything in the cockpit is relatively okay. Gauges are dusty and cracked. Sensors, or well, the glass of the cockpit itself is relatively well maintained. Just needs cleaning potentially. Everything in here seems to be like vac sealed, like there's no holes in the hull of the cockpit. So if you were to get this thing in space, you wouldn't have like an oxygen leak. However, with an 11, you notice one kind of major malfunction of this thing, in that the essentially the sensor suite module that provides you essentially like plug this in. It is like a computing unit that you would plug in, and it would connect to other parts of the ship, like sensors throughout the ship via interlaid wiring that tell you, oh, is there an oxygen hull breach? What is the cargo capacity currently at? Your speedometer, etc., etc. Like this sensor module suite is busted. So you know with an 11 as a relatively okay pilot, you could fly without all this stuff. You just would have no idea what's happening to your ship while you're flying it.
That's hilarious.
So it's dangerous. So if you want to have a safe flight home potentially and like do your due diligence, you might need to get this thing. It looks like it's bashed to hell and just fried. So you'd need a replacement.
Okay.
You can either potentially build a new one and jury rig it if you somehow scavenge the parts, or you could potentially find another one somewhere. But aside from that, that's the only issue you run into in the cockpit. Janko with an 8. You kind of get up under there and you notice that the engine is there. So good start. It hasn't been ripped out. But you notice that there are a lot of dings, a lot of dents, some erosion on a lot of the metallic components that have been more exposed. So there's some like minor maintenance that needs to be done. And again, the big thing is you notice that this thing has dual thrusters, a left and a right thruster that essentially can make it go forward and turn and shit. The left thruster has a series of ignition coils which have been shattered. So as of right now, only the right thruster works, meaning essentially if this thing takes off, it's just going to kind of spiral in circles.
Well, that's not ideal.
Not good. Do I think, looking at this, are there any parts of this equation that we could potentially salvage from a motorcycle, like the one that we have in the desert?
No, especially because this is like starfighter technology versus a motorcycle. So we're talking about like high, essentially imagine like like one of those energy efficient spiral light bulbs kind of, but it is, instead of just providing a number of watts of lighting, it like funnels like gigatons of energy through it, right? So this is like a pretty it's a pretty mundane piece of tech in TL4 starship building. Every ship will have these, but like compared to something like a modern day 21st century motorcycle, yeah, motorcycles have like spark plugs, which are not gonna cut it.
Okay, as it stands, I feel like that spiral piece might be something we have to locate or source from somewhere else, like either the Isabella or ship pile, because I doubt.
You might be able to rip it out of the grav car, considering that uses energy as well. Although any ignition coils within those grav stabilizers are going to be significantly less powerful, but there might be a way to daisy chain them and like use all 4 from each of the grav wheels to, you know, essentially overclock them and get somewhat of a appropriate readout for to match the right thruster with this left thruster.
Okay,
Who's
I'll
to
add that
say?
to the list of things we have to do to get this thing up and running one day. Cool.
And Roadie with, it looks like you're using your ability. With a 4, you're going to use your ability for an 11.
No. I don't think I have that ability.
Oh, you don't. Yeah, you're a psychic, not an expert. So.
I just accidentally rolled twice.
Okay, so yeah, you get up like on the outskirts of the cockpit, and you're able to look through like a small hole in the hull. Essentially, like you open a panel rather to get like into the inner workings of not the cockpit itself, but rather the inner workings of the ship. And you kind of look at this, and you're like, "Dude, this shit's Chinese. You don't know what the fuck you're looking at."
This is Chinese. I don't know what the fuck.
Yeah, you realize that I don't think Roadie has any, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think Roadie has any background in this kind of work, like starship engineering.
Not in starships, no.
Yeah.
Not in starships, no. It's the equivalent of like he worked in a motorcycle shop or something, and now he can't assemble a motorcycle, but he's seen them.
Yeah, Roadie has built his own computer in the past, but now he's looking at like an industrial-sized server room. He's like, I recognize the green lights, but that's about it. So you have no idea if there's anything actually wrong in here, unfortunately.
Okay.
But it looks okay. You're like, oh yeah, it's not like on fire, and I don't notice like a bunch of rats having chewed through wires, so that seems okay. That's your consensus, essentially. Sarah, meanwhile, has been pacing around the outskirts, and she's like, yeah, this baby's probably gonna need a couple of buffs and some tuning up before we can really take it anywhere. I don't know about y'all, but even if I'm in the cockpit, the most secure place on here, this thing doesn't seem stable enough to get us off-world, as is. Yeah, and you guys continue your examination of this cockpit as we cut back to Weevil, who is examining this cryopod once again and trying to jury-rig, bypass, hack it to make it output another beacon, this time instead of projecting to other parts of the Magellan. What would you like to do? Like, what is your, I guess, what is the end goal?
Yeah, so is there any form of, like, input method on this that someone could access? Like, could you potentially input a compad and type something? Like, obviously there's got to be some method of password entry, because Weevil was able to do that. Is there, like, an external keypad that is a part of this compad that would potentially be intact?
You could hook your compad up to it.
Okay, cool. That's what I want to know, because if Weevil was able to ping off of this beacon, he wants to find a way to convert that signal so that a message can be input on a compad and it would ping off of him. So potentially Jenko or whoever could hook up to it and then say, danger here, return, whatever, and Weevil would get like blips in Morse code or whatever on his thing. You know, like maybe we come up in like the meta aspect, we come up with some sort of signal where it's like, it's a series of numbers that this thing can only output location data and coordinates, so each number corresponds to a letter of the alphabet, you know? So like 1 is A, 2 is B, and like that could be a method where you put that in, he writes a script that very quickly converts letters into those numbers and plugs them in as a set of coordinates that he can then check off the beacon, and hopefully, you know, essentially he wants to write a manual way to override the VPN that can then be used to convey messages. Probably only one way, because he doesn't think he'll be able to get back in touch with the beacon. But that would be ideal, so we can know what's going on with the fuel makers.
Okay, yeah, that seems very. I thought you were gonna go for something a little more grandiose, and I was afraid I was gonna have to shut you down and really make you work for it. But that's actually sounds super potentially doable.
Cool.
So yeah, you essentially plug into this cryopod again and begin trying to rewrite some of the sort of software to be more, I guess, user accessible to non-registered users like Jenko or Roadie or whoever, writing in some quick code to allow them to essentially send messages via the beacon, essentially, instead of just a location coordinate, allow more detailed messages that would still be broadcast to you.
Yes, and if possible, I want to do that within the parameters of the Magellan's encryption signal, because like perhaps this guy's signal could be picked up by other people, but like Weevil, I think, is uniquely equipped to be able to interpret the signal and understand what it is, you know, because it's like same manufacturer. But if that's not possible, or if that's not part of it, I just figured, you know, it's worth mentioning. But yeah, so main goal is being able to establish that line of communication.
Sure. So I think I'm gonna need another programming check from you.
Baby.
I think this will be. I think this is gonna be sabotage the system technically.
Okay, and that would be difficulty 10. 14. Oh,
Nice.
6, 5, 2, 1.
Yeah, this also has a +1 DC to it because each hack after the first 24 hours of hacking into it again essentially makes it harder.
Interesting. I feel like it logically would mean the opposite, but I understand the rationale behind that. You know,
normally
it's like the systems are trying to up the security.
Yeah, normally it's because like, hey, you know, if there's a security personnel that says like, hey, we've been hacked, let's seal up this firewall. And you're noticing sort of that happens here for some reason, even though there's no security personnel buffing up the. You do take note of that though. Is this thing is harder to get back into after your initial It also gets minor organization bonuses, so that's up to 12 at this point. And yeah, that's about it. So it's DC 12 actually, but with a 14, yeah, you crush it. You go to log back into the Magellan system, and essentially as you begin to rewrite this distress beacon, a small sort of text box sort of appears in your HUD as you are writing code into sort of like your right eye peripheral, your left eye kind of text box kind of pops up in your HUD.
Are you sure you want to do this?
Is that voice familiar to Weevil?
Yes. You recognize it as the general voice of the AI Magellan.
Okay. So he pauses for a minute, and then he begins to rapidly scroll back through the lines of code, and I want to make sure that if there is a sliver of that AI's consciousness on this storage drive, he's not overwriting that. I want to preserve whatever, even if it's literally just a voice module that creates that message whenever that error pops up. I want to make sure that I'm not overwriting that particular essential asset of the code. And if barring that, I'm still going to go through with it. But I want to make sure to keep that bit intact. You know, maybe it's like a manufacturer's OS somewhere, but like I want to try and locate that and then see.
I think I need another program hack check to get information.
Okay.
Program in check.
10.
With a 10, it's actually a little unclear. Something doesn't seem quite right, though. This doesn't seem like a program that is simply ensuring you don't delete important data or overwrite something that's otherwise not meant to be overwritten. This doesn't seem to be a Clippy that is popping up that's like, would you like some assistance? It almost seems to be, and maybe it's just a nostalgic sense for Weevil for a second that makes him think this, but it almost seems to be an interaction, like a live interaction. But you know that the AI is not stored within a single cryopod, and this pod is not physically attached to any other parts of the Magellan. So that doesn't seem possible. And you are able to essentially, with a 10 though, isolate kind of the subroutine that is housing the software code that is asking this question. The if-then statement that says, hey, if somebody's overwriting this code, this is going to pop up, and this is what it's going to say, and this is the code of this Magellan sort of program. You're able to isolate that and essentially not wall it off, but essentially put a lock on it so it's not going going and you won't overwrite it.
And I'm not deleting it on purpose.
So so it won't be touched, essentially.
Cool. So yeah, the next time Janko or I'm trying to make this as user friendly as possible. There's going to be complicated lines of code that they don't deal with, where they type a message, it converts it to coordinates, it goes to Weevil, and he's going to have a code that converts it back into a message, basically.
Yeah.
As they boot up the software, I don't know if you've ever seen like code in Python where like someone will draw a picture in ASCII art at the beginning, but as they boot it up, it says Weevil's Cool Communicator 1.0, and it's a big ASCII art image of Weevil himself giving a thumbs up, and then it's all the code, and it says enter your message here.
Great. This is Weevil's
fucking
Minecraft server.
Exactly. Yeah, Weevil. With that successful, he's gonna, later on explain to the others, hey, if you ever want to communicate with us, just inform us of things going on. It's gonna be a one-way message, but plug in your compad and type something, and I should get it.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm gonna join them back outside.
Okay. Yeah, you join the rest of the party back outside as they're jumping up and down on the ship, going, you're like, yeah, seems fucking sturdy.
Kits falls through the rusted panel and he fucking dies.
He goes, guys, check this out. He pulls a piece of scrap metal out. Half the crater caves in on him. He's dead. Yeah, party's back together. You guys have your discoveries about the ship. It's missing those ignition coils, and the sensor suite module are the two big red flags that you've noticed so far. Aside from that, it just needs some general TLC so far. And probably fuel.
Yeah, that's fair too.
Polly would like to verbalize to the rest of the party what he found. Basically saying something along the lines of, yeah, man, so nothing's really truly wrong with the cockpit, except there is one part that, tells me, how fast we're going and what blinkers are lighting up and if we have an oxygen leak. So we don't need it, but it would be, really helpful.
Yeah, another thing it's missing is its left thruster. If you just want to turn right forever, it's fine, but we probably get sick and throw up and die. Maybe we could, cannibalize the little grav thruster thingy that we saw earlier. Could maybe make it work. It's gonna be a whole project. People are gonna see us fucking with, probably. So now we generally know what the ship needs. Yeah. Maybe not all of it, but we know some things. We could.
Yeah, we have a shopping list basically. The coil, the sensors, and fuel.
Yeah,
those are the three big things, I think.
Okay, I mean, Roadie didn't. Does Roadie know he didn't get a great look at the engine, or is he just unknowingly yep, looks fine?
If he tells us he thinks he got a good look, do we trust that?
No.
I mean,
Roadie
I would say that's a little meta to not, but also
Roadie literally said, "I don't know what any of this is."
Got it.
I mean, I can do a follow-up.
I don't know what I'm even fucking looking at.
kind of the.
So, like, Janko, could you look as well? You seem pretty good with this stuff.
I could do a follow-up look. If that's in the cards.
Sure, Shenka, you can climb back up onto the top of the ship and open up the exterior hull and look inside.
Probably be a fixed int.
Yeah,
again.
take that. With an 11. Yeah, you look in and things look mostly good. Nothing that seems to spark any giant red flags. However, you notice that there is the wires connecting like one large chunk. There's like a lot of like it's almost like a separate heavy-duty cable strands where it's like 10 wires bundled together running from point A to point B somewhere in the ship, and then another bundle of 10 wires running from C to D, and then E to F, and it's just like they're all intersecting, but they're like grouped together, right? Well, one of these groups is kind of frayed to hell and probably either non-functional or barely functional and could jostle loose and stop becoming functional if the ship were to suffer like any amount of turbulence, even from potentially just taking off. And with an 11, you're able to connect the two. You're able to sort of differentiate this bunch from the rest and see kind of where it's connecting to and from. And essentially, it goes from the cockpit to an interior kind of like a sort of CPU module that handles a lot of the ship's internal systems. And it handles the auto nav, the autopilot. So again,
Cool.
Something not super important to, if you want to bare bones it and just get off this planet as quickly and easily as possible. It's something that you probably don't need to fix. You know, you don't need a gas gauge and a speedometer and autopilot, but like they might be nice.
It's at the bottom of the list. Yeah, I got
Yeah.
that. Cool.
But that's it. That's what you see is wrong.
So I guess the bare minimum to get this functional hunk of junk off the planet would be fuel and repairing that thruster. Everything else could technically be extraneous, but you know, if the computer's not working and the auto nav's not working, you know, say we the thruster blows when we're in orbit over Saragon 3, and then we start spiraling crazily with no way to repair ourselves unless, you know, the pilot manages to wrest control of the vehicle back. So
yeah. All right.
For sure.
So with that, you guys have a general lay of the land for if this is going to be your means off this planet, which there are potentially other means off this planet. But if you decide to pursue this route, that's your shopping list, and you have to figure out how to get those things and what to do, and blah 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 blah. And you have other things to potentially investigate. So we'll take a quick 5-10 minute break, as per Dylan's request. Get your water, get your snacks, use your bathrooms, and kind of think about what you want to do next, what your next course of action is, whether it be sneak out in the morning, go tonight, go tomorrow after a good night's rest, fuck around the camp a little more, ask Jeff more questions, blah, 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 blah. You know, literally just
Try and seduce rage.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever it
yeah.
is. So go ahead, think about that as a group, individually, whatever. We'll come back at 9:35.
Gotcha. I'm gonna take a shit. Alex, Nick, get your couch ready.
Good.
Yeah.
No, but cool. I'll be right back. All right.
Love it, boys.
Oh my god. I'm like, literally, fucking Ben's cat is a fucking psycho and keeps like running into the bedroom despite my constantly kicking them out.
Yeah, with your
And
foot just right into the cat, kicking, literally.
Yeah. Hey! Out! 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 Let's go! Out! Out, idiot. Come on. God, shut up. Go.
Okay.
God, dude.
Okay.
Enough.
So we can with the entire party outside late at night, standing amongst the Fieldmakers camp, people are around you guys winding down for bed, going into their tents and huddles.
They got their
shuffling
Fieldmaker footy
around.
pajamas with the butt flap.
Yeah, exactly.
Still wearing the gas mask.
Fires are beginning to die down. There's obviously a few people still milling about. These late night owls. These people working on side project. These night watchmen. You guys are standing near the domain of Jeff and the ruined ore miner. What's the plan? What are you guys doing? Where are you guys heading next? When are you guys heading there?
Yeah, I would like to. Well, I mean, are the Fieldmakers still giving us a hard time, or just kind of giving
You
us
get a lot of you guys get a lot of weird looks, but nobody really wants to talk to you.
Okay, so I honestly think I'll probably just save that Bezoar and worry about that later, because they don't seem like they're gonna do anything if the leader is like, yeah, they can stay. So yeah, I mean, Weevil's vote is that we he's at least ready to call it a night and head out at like 5:30 in the morning.
Who do you figure should go, though?
I mean, I would say everyone except Colleen and Roadie, only on the basis of those two who have the brands, and I don't know, that would create an issue, I think, if they leave.
At least my 100%. At least my brand is hidden, dude.
So is mine if I button up my shirt.
You're always shirtless.
I mean, do you think the Fieldmakers will question their leader if their leader tells them, yeah, let those two brandy guys go too?
Perhaps not. However,
it's not about the fuel makers. It's about ship pile getting all upset at us.
I guess that's true.
That is fair. I would not be terribly surprised if they force us to elevate our shirts when we enter.
Show us your tits.
Yeah. Weevil rubs away the Fuelmaker charcoal mark on his chassis. Yeah, I mean, I really don't like the idea of us breaking up over such a far distance, because we have honestly done that pretty much every session, and I would love to kind of get us all in one place.
Yeah. Okay, speaking of distance, Weevil, do you think it's possible to set up some kind of long distance, longer than 2-mile radio signal situation where we could maybe talk to somebody who's left behind?
I have no idea how to do that in any way, shape, or form.
And then Weevil tells you that he spent about an hour modifying the beacon so that it could send out messages over, basically to him specifically, over a very long distance.
Also,
he was able to get it off-world. It's a long-range signal.
Right. But if somebody stays at that, the signal from that part of the pod or whatever, they could maybe communicate with Weevil. He's out.
That's what I'm saying. I modified the beacon so that someone can hook a compad up to it and type in, "Hey Weevil, Jeff just got shot in the head," and Weevil would get that message.
No.
I also want to point out field radio. Someone with at least program 0 skill can use the radio's shortwave functionality to communicate with a prepared target at a continental distance if given 10 minutes of tuning. So now that you guys have time, you guys can modify your shortwave radios to be perfectly synced to each other.
Dang, yeah, let's just fucking do that.
Okay, I say we sync it with obviously the two radios, and then sync it with the pod.
You can't sync it to. You can't sync the pod to the. No, this is you guys have walkie talkies, and they're not going to sync to a.
It's like digital versus analog radio. I
guess.
It's
you can't sync your walkie talkie to a satellite. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's only one target. It's one radio can sync to one target to have this continental. So you guys can essentially pair the walkie talkies to. They will now work in continental distances. So literally hundreds of miles. And then you can also talk to Weevil anywhere on this planet with this beacon, if somebody's standing next to it.
Yeah. So we could potentially use that for Jeff if we really need, because he's not coming with us because he's a fucking coward. I would honestly say I like the idea that we all go, because I feel like they're not like the only issue is we would need to take the motorcycle, but we could probably get some fuel. In which case Weevil would go ahead and use that Bizoar to heal up one of the guys. Is like, hey, eye for an eye. I help you, you give us some fuel, and we go. Prove that while we're not technically part of the fuel makers, we are helping you guys out in exchange for things that not everyone knows, but that Jeff is he's got a plan. So
Don't offer the Bizoar first. Offer it if they tell you no at first.
Oh, ask for fuel.
First just ask Jeff for fuel. See if you make it happen. If you can't, we'll offer the.
Yeah.
Sarah,
that also brings up the question of what to do with the fucking motorcycle belonging to the dead guy.
That's still hidden. Yeah. It's still hidden up by the car.
As long as it's hidden. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, Sarah levies an idea. She goes, I don't want to, poke holes. I don't want to be a negative Nelly here, but is it a good idea to ride up to, this enemy society on the rusted, very iconic vehicle, one of a fleet of their sworn enemies? Like, if Roadie comes riding up on this motorcycle, who's to say they're just not going to think he's a fuel maker and shoot him in the head before he gets a chance to say he's not?
I was going to say, yeah, and that would probably prompt them to search for the brand before anything else.
Also,
if they weren't going to do it before, then they certainly are when he comes up on a bike and claims not to be a fuel maker.
If he even gets the chance to make a claim, like I'm saying, these people have been attacked before. They bet they got a sniper.
Yeah, although one thing I will say is that the ship pilers did technically invite us to ship pile. Like they left a paper in the escape pod and the beacon was turned off saying, if you want help, come find us. And you know,
but they don't know who you are.
Yeah. But like, we have our presence is not entirely unaccounted for.
They're expecting us to potentially show up.
So they don't know what that looks like, who we are necessarily, but we can just say, hey, we were the guys who crashed in the beacon. We have come back your way.
As far as the motorcycle issue goes, I whisper this: we could leave kids.
Sarah leans in and she goes, "I was thinking the same thing."
Just hope he's quiet and smart while he's back here.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
just hide him in the cockpit of that ore miner.
Wait, so didn't he was like a fast food restaurant owner? Maybe we could say he's like a chef and he's trying to like
he's a fast food regional manager.
I
owned it.
I'm a regional manager at a Bucko's. I was being transferred by corporate.
Is Bucko's the one that has a wombat as its logo?
No,
kind of looks like a sock puppet.
It's a bug-eyed moose.
Oh.
Yeah, you're thinking.
Weevil has immeasurable disappointment on his features.
You're thinking of Shrimblies. They have the square burgers.
Yes, and that's fair. I also remember Weewa's, the other interstellar fast food and gas station.
Yeah. I don't work
and
for
then
them.
there is Quack Shack with the duck logo. Yeah.
Hey man, why are we naming my competition? What's the point?
I was told to keep their names out my fucking mouth in my contract.
If I'm being honest, I'm probably already fired. I haven't shown up for my first day of work, and it's been several days since then, so might have to get a job at Weewa's, who knows.
Or you get a job at Jeff's not cannibal tent.
Oh, I don't know if the benefits are really that great here.
The benefits include not getting scrutinized a new gang of people.
The benefits are a slow death as opposed to a quick one.
That sounds objectively worse. I think I'd prefer a quick death.
That's probably fair.
Why is a slow death a benefit?
Because then potentially you have a way to not have a slow death if you have more time to prevent your slow death.
What the fuck are you talking about, man?
Any life lived is worth living.
And Weevil's face turns to the loading signal while he ponders that statement.
Live, laugh, love, dude.
Yeah. I mean,
Kiss
fuck,
is-
I'm not opposed to leaving Kits here.
That's my vote. No offense to him. It's just
But
pure
we gotta
logistics.
ask him, because otherwise he's just gonna be a fucking wreck.
We gotta phrase it like we're giving him an important mission or something. You can't just be like, fuck you.
I believe if we make it seem as if Jeff has business with him and he just stays inside of Jeff's hovel for the duration of our time over in the shitpile settlement, that may provide a reason for the other fuelmakers to not see him. Do you shed your skin, Kits?
The fact. What? No.
No, that must be an earth reptile thing. I was going to say we could fill it with stuffing and make it seem like your corpse was thrown out and you were killed by Jeff in a Weekend at Bernie style gambit. Have you not seen that old pre-Scream Terran film?
I don't know what that is. But all I heard is my corpse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guys, I'll just hide in the cockpit until you get back. I don't want to hang out with these murderers. But if you guys can't take me with you, then
I mean, like, maybe you could say you're trying to siphon fuel from the fuel tank. They'll probably really like that.
Don't give them ideas, though.
They just see Kits there with a drinking straw day in and day out. I don't know what I'm doing.
yeah, I'll tell them that if they ask me any questions, I guess.
Okay.
He's sweating
fuck.
profusely. Okay. This sounds like a good plan, guys. And he gives you the shakiest thumbs up you've ever seen.
I mean, I don't think any of us personally care if Kits get skinned and eaten alive and turned into a delicious gumbo, but
there you go. Then.
Shoddy the vac suit.
What the vac suit?
If Kits gets eaten alive, Shoddy the vac suit.
Oh, shoddy. I see what I was like. Okay. I was
Shoddy like a melody in my head.
I was like, shoot the vac suit? Why would you do that? With a shotgun? Okay, cool.
So let's get some fuel from Jeff. Let's make that happen.
Yeah, and I'll leave Kits as one extra. I'll leave him one extra A cell. So
well, if you guys aren't taking the motorcycle, you don't need fuel. I don't think.
Oh, that's true.
No, yeah, we have a bunch of extra B cells, so the car is good for another 24 hours of operation, and it would potentially only take us half a day to get there.
Yeah.
So, as long as we keep one extra B cell in case Weevil needs it, so he doesn't shut down, he's good.
Yeah. Before we leave, let's just have Weevil mark on his, just in his brain, the coordinates for where exactly the motorcycle's parked out in those dunes. It'll be buried by the time we get back.
Or discovered. And
I don't think Weevil actually has the capabilities to do that.
I don't think so. I think the only reason he's been able to ping off what he does is because he had the specific coordinates for Shitpile, which were provided in that letter, and then he got the beacon's coordinates. So I have the location of the beacon because I'm assuming that's still putting out a signal.
Yeah. Just because the reason I say that is because there is. I'm looking for it now in the equipment list, but it's like a survey machine or like a piece of equipment. A bioscanner, laser burst patch. It's like something that you can use to get like a bioscanner, but for like your environment, essentially.
Oh, interesting. Like an environment kind of
survey scanner.
I was gonna say like an environment scanner, but
yeah, it's called a survey scanner. For some reason, what's this under field equipment? Yeah, which normally would be great for this. You don't have one. A multi-purpose scanner that can take atmospheric and gravitic readings, provide basic chemical analysis of samples up to 1 cubic centimeter in size, record up to 200 hours of video information, 10 times that of audio. Yeah. essentially you'd be able to tell like information about the planet you're on and like sort of like map the planet while you're exploring it essentially. Versus like just creating, you know, more than somewhat detailed Microsoft Paint images on your compads of I drew this map, you know? That's kind of what you guys are left with right now because you don't have cell phone signals and you just have to work with like essentially programs that are on your phone. So you have to like manually make things and
What the fuck is going on?
okay, you guys should all mute the music channel. I don't know why it's glitching out right now, but based on that reaction, I know you don't have it muted, which you should definitely have muted because it's garbage. It's filled with just stupid commands.
Bonzo beans.
It's filled with beans. Alex would be all over that shit.
Yeah. Anyway, you guys know where the fucking car is. It's about 300 feet north of the crater. It's not that, wouldn't be that hard to find.
Okay, so I feel like we just, I guess, kind of hope that the motorcycle's in a good spot, unless we want to drive it somewhere. But if we leave Kits here, like he is so valiantly volunteered, then I believe that's 5 of us, and we can just go in the grav car and be fine. That still begs the question of whether or not Collie and Roadie should actually come up with us, but I think it'll be much better to have them stay in the vicinity at the bare minimum, you know? So yeah, my vote is we head out in the morning ASAP and just kind of trust that, you know, we tell Jeff, hey, we're going to leave this lousy sack of shit here. So make sure that no harm comes to him because we can only fit 5.
Okay.
Sound like a plan?
Yeah.
Cool.
What the fuck is IO doing, dude? Is somebody pausing the music or something?
I muted the channel.
Excuse me.
Muted for me.
Yeah. I'm just making sure nobody's like hitting the commands because I don't know what's going on. Anyway, just keep stopping randomly. Yes. Jesus Christ. Okay, so you guys head off to bed then, it sounds like, or
Yep.
and then head for shit pile in the morning?
Dude, I'm EP, Alex.
You're what?
Dude, I am like fucking EP.
I'm like so EP right now.
Oh, I don't have.
Dude, I'm
have
eeping all over the place.
Okay. Thanks. Well, that's happening because Nick said that. I need everybody to roll me a physical save.
What?
Collie is slowly killing us.
What do you mean?
Not.
I
It's
assume
not
this is
actually.
the radiation
Yeah,
poisoning.
it's not actually because you guys.
Ooh.
Ooh.
shit.
Ooh.
Winner.
Ooh.
Hey,
All right. Everybody but Roadie loses a Constitution point.
Loses a Constitution point.
Yeah.
Oh,
Remember?
yeah, you're right. Sorry, we've discussed this, yeah.
Yeah.
And then once it gets below a certain point, you start losing HP.
You lose a Baba Booey point.
Yeah. Essentially, I don't think this maybe affects anybody quite yet, but the number you're looking out for is if you eventually lose half your Constitution, like you're reduced to half of what it originally was. And I think that's about it. I think that's just the one bad thing. I mean, obviously, if it gets to 3 or lower, that's a bigger problem. But, yeah. You lose hit points if it reduces your con mod, but that's about it. Yeah. So, I don't think anyone's near losing half their points yet, so that's fine.
Yeah. Still doing okay.
Um,
Roadie fucking succeeded again.
Yeah. Roadie's immune to radiation. He's been eating his Flintstone vitamins.
He's been eating lead.
Uranium.
can't radiate me. I've been radiated for 35 years.
What do you think's in them cigarettes I'm always smoking? It's pure plutonium.
Hey, plutonium for breakfast.
I have no teeth, but man, I'm good.
All of my prison cells were made of plutonium.
Candy liked to use special effects on stage, but he thought fireworks were trite and contrived, so he just had me wave a ball of fucking uranium around.
Everyone left our shows and died of cancer within a few days, but
But hey, we still got
I
our money.
didn't, but I take my shit sideways now, so you know.
The morning sort of comes as you all bed down. I guess where you want, either in the ship or in Jeff's domain, or with the rest of the fuel makers, or kind of just outside in the crater with your own little, crevice. But you are essentially, left unbothered during the night wherever you happen to decide to sleep. You guys get your rest up, and the heat of the early morning blood red sun begins washing over you guys as it crests over the dunes, and the sandstorms die down, and the light touches everything as far as you could see. You guys are well rested, able to get some grub with the fuel makers, so you guys can eat and drink and not starve and dehydrate yourselves to death. Get some breakfast at least, and get a little radiation poisoning.
Goes down smooth.
How does it feel, Alex?
How does
It's like you're being
radiation?
a little bit poisoned and radioactive.
Yeah,
How
you
does it
feel.
that I'm slowly being poisoned by radiation?
Yeah, I think basically you kind of just wake up with headaches, like headaches, migraines, kind of like slightly, it's like it takes your eyes a little bit longer to like unblur in the morning. You have like a dry throat, maybe like a little bit of a cough. Like you're just kind of generally like sick and not great. It's not that bad at this point, but you can tell you're feeling like 80% instead of 100%.
Like, I don't really feel okay. Like, look,
Kali
my
has a
toenails are more
vestigial
yellow
twin on the
than
back of
usual.
his head.
Radiation poisoning that does not immediately kill can induce vomiting, headaches, soft tissue bleeding, dizziness, but a resolute victim can continue functioning more or less normally until death, is what the book officially says on it.
Like, look at this, and Kali pulls a single piece of hair off of his head.
Yeah,
like,
that's a
like,
fair one too.
Yeah, no. He like plucks it out like it's a normal fucking hair, and he goes, "Look, my hair's falling out." Like, I don't
He rips his scalp off.
Yeah. I think we should like hurry up.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's 5 a.m. or whatever. We gotta skedaddle. So I agree. Let's head back to the car and fucking vamos. And I mentioned it before, but Weevil gives Kits an extra A cell, so he has an extra 24 hours of power to his suit.
Phew.
And then it's like, thank you for taking one for the team. Anyway, bye. Have fun in this den of murderers.
As you say bye and go to turn away from him, you just hear as he just like scrambles across the desert like one of those like little lizards that like runs on water. He just does that.
Oh,
with
I
sand,
have an
kicking
exact
it up,
mental picture.
and he's just fucking hightailing it towards the ship to get away from everybody, all the fuel makers. Just terrified. You guys begin making your way out of the camp, and as you do, you guys are kind of just walking in just this amorphous blob, the five of you in a little huddle. And from around the corner of one of these sheds, kind of like stepping out from it, in a bit of a huff and a tizzy, comes this sort of tall figure with the hockey mask and all the tattoos and the Gatling pack or the Gatling gun backpack on. He doesn't have the gun with him currently, but he kind of shoulder checks Roadie at this point, just because he's, I don't know, the farthest one to the right. And he kind of stops and he looks at your whole group and he's like, watch where you're going. All right, fresh meat. And kind of looks at like Sarah and Weevil and Janko. And kind of just like, you can see the crazy eyes beneath the hockey mask, and he just kind of stares you all down for a moment.
Janko just gives a little head nod up at him. And
Yeah, I give a head nod down at him.
It's acknowledged, and he just keeps walking.
Ollie spins his head in a circle.
Ollie does a backflip standing up, and it's pretty fucking cool.
And you just nod at him, and he goes, "Don't fucking look at me. I don't know what Jeff sees in you all, but he's losing his touch. There's something wrong with you people. I don't know why you're allowed to just walk around all willy."
Actually, I think he's got a really good touch, and I think you just want to get touched. That's what I think.
Oh yeah?
Like,
You wanna do some touching, big guy?
I'll touch you all up and down. Let's go.
Yeah, I want to be touched so bad. Come on, touch me right here. And he kind of like tugs on his crotch.
Okay, Roadie will touch his balls.
Do you really?
Yeah, Roadie will, but gently. He's not. Yeah,
You just reach out and
exactly.
cup. You just like cup his balls.
Cup his balls. Yeah. I'm maintaining eye contact.
Baby.
Hey, sweet baby.
Okay.
Play the document.
I think Roadie, give me a. Would you like to give me a check?
A romance check. Roll
I
to
think this
fondle.
is some sort of charisma-oriented check. I think I
Or
would.
dex.
And I'll explain.
I think
for context,
I
I will explain what I'm trying to do.
Okay.
I am trying to de-escalate the situation.
Yeah, it seems like you're trying to throw him off.
Exactly, throwing them off. Not necessarily like, these guys are weird is one possible way, but the other is I want to make them laugh, right?
Yeah.
I want to get him to kind of like break a little bit, so he's not so serious.
Touched, do you? Gucci, Gucci,
You want to
goo.
be touched? I'll touch you right now.
I'll do connect, if that's all right.
Roll to connect with this man's balls.
I'll
Yeah,
take it. Yeah, I'll take
connect
connect charisma. Yeah.
What's the ratio of men
Connect
and
my hand to his ball sack.
women?
What is your question? You guys are all talking at the same time.
What's the ratio of men to women in this place?
Okay, stop with the sound effects. It's like it's normal, right? In the sense of in any society, it's not like objectively more men and objectively more women. It's like a normal distribution.
So
In the sense of if there's 40 people, there's like 21 men and 19 women. Because this is just like it seems like a lot of these people are probably, who knows where they come from, but chances are they were either like born here or they're like shipwrecked kind of people. They just wound up here.
Yeah.
But yeah. So with a 9, he looks at you really confused for a moment. He looks down at your hand, he looks back up at you, and there's like a weird just like pause, and he just reaches down, he slaps your hand away, and he's just like, get the fuck out of here. And he kind of backs up and just kind of begins to shuffle away very angrily. He doesn't know what to do.
He's blushing.
Yeah, he's very he is confused, and
Is he blushing?
You can't tell. He has a hockey mask on.
Oh right, yeah, of course.
3 pink lines showed up on top of the hockey net.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He blushes through it.
He's like,
Yeah,
like
do I hear him say ooh woo?
Yeah. No, but you do feel in the brief moment where you're cupping his balls and there's an awkward silence, like a little twitch down there.
Oh,
Yeah, I bet he liked it. Yeah.
Yeah. You say it looks like he gets a little weirded out and he doesn't exactly know how to. He's something is like, I don't want to escalate this right now, actually, and he fucks off.
You're making me feel things
right.
I've never felt before.
No, I would consider that a success personally.
Yeah. No, that's a very. I'll tell you right now. That's a middling success. It could have been better, and it could have been a lot worse. So,
Right.
but you got there in the end.
All right.
Yeah, he walks off. And you guys are able to leave the camp otherwise unaccosted. And change the B cell out. And I guess head towards ship pile, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Let's go to shit pile, boys. We gotta
Um,
pile some shit.
Obviously, everybody except for Carly LaFlower and Roadie are going on this. Yeah.
Well, you guys, we're all going.
Yeah, we're all going except for
Oh.
Kit.
Yeah, Kit stayed behind,
Oh,
but
no,
like
we're
you guys
going.
aren't necessarily
Okay.
like we haven't talked about if you're coming in with us, but we decided it would like be best to have all the party in one place.
Also,
Unless
unless
you
they
missed
try to
that.
look at Ollie's ass, they're not going to notice the branding. That's the whole
Yeah,
point.
well, it's not about that. It's about the potential for them having like bioscanners or something where they would be able to
Or-
detect, you
or
know,
just being,
beyond
like-
just looking at you.
Yeah, or just
Let
like
me
hey,
see your
pull off-
butthole.
take off your clothes. We're gonna make sure you're not branded.
Yeah, which would not be an insane thing in this situation. All right. Well, I guess if we're gonna go, then I guess let's go.
Yeah. I think we can. I think if that happens, Collie has an idea of how he can talk his way through it.
Is it the same way that Dylan talked his way out of not knowing where the other fuelmaker was? If they ask about the car, I know where I have something to sell them. No, I ain't never seen no car before.
Never near no car anywhere near us. Nope,
I
never
don't know
seen
what
no
the
car,
hell
no
you're
nothing.
talking about.
No, that's not.
But you got a pretty
Damn,
mouth.
he's got us there. We asked him and he said no.
Wait, you mean it's cool bird
I don't-
chairs?
Were you not expecting that? I mean,
I thought you had
they
a good
asked, I
lie.
say no. What are they gonna do? You know, no. The answer was no.
I think the thing that always got me about that was how confident you're like, yeah, don't worry, guys, I've got something.
Anyway, no, never seen that guy in my life. Never, I've been anywhere near. Nope,
Yeah.
no idea.
Well, yeah, but my something was just my confidence in myself. You know, like Roadie has that in spades. He thinks that he can probably do just about anything. You know.
Okay. So,
Very good.
you guys, whoever's in charge of it, make sure you swap out the B cell on the car. You guys now have one drained B cell and one less operational B cell, or at least, well, it's operational, but now it's being used by the car.
Connor, are you editing now? Bye.
Yeah, I can do that.
Oh yeah, and did you get your health back?
No, I haven't. I don't have any scrap to heal myself with. So, I mean, I'm at
Oh,
8
you
out of
need
11 hit
scrap
points,
as
but I'm
well.
still, yeah, I'm still badly damaged. So
I
if
can
I
use
go
some scrap.
down, I'm dead.
I
I'll
can
take
use
that
scrap.
scrap if you want, and then I'll
Wait,
work
did
on
we ever
repairing
ask the
myself as I go.
fuelmaker? Did you ask the fuel makers?
No, but if we have if Jenko has scrap, I think for expediency, I'll take that, and I have to spend 24 straight hours repairing myself to completely undo all the damage.
Oh.
So I need to work towards
you
that.
could delay the morning a little bit. No, it would be.
Nah, it's not worth it. I'll take the hour in the car and work on it. Or I could even gain a couple hit points back and take the scrap. But either way, I will take the scrap and add that to my inventory, and I'll do with that what I
have
will.
six spare parts. That's what you need,
Cool.
right?
I'll take 3 if that's okay with you.
Yeah, it's worth noting. This is kind of dumb, but there's a lot of weird debate on this. There's 2 units of whatever. There's scrap metal, I believe, and spare parts. They are different for what it's worth. I think you guys all have spare parts so far, but like scrap metal is like more used more for like ships and stuff like that. Just keep in mind that it's technically different. You guys can look at the equipment list, and I think it gives you a better breakdown of what it is slightly more. But yeah, it's a mild but important distinction. But yeah, you're good with spare parts, Weevil. That's what you need, so you're good.
Cool. All right, so I'm gonna dedicate 2 of those towards getting 3 hit points back, and save 1 to repair myself with as we get time.
Cool.
So I'm now back at full.
Word.
So yeah, Kali, I'm assuming.
Do we heal overnight to kind of like I gotta read this book more, but
Yeah. I don't know, Michael. You tell me.
I'll check out the book. See how you get your shit back.
while you do that, you guys are heading. I'm assuming Kali is driving again, and you guys are just gonna drive for ship pile. Everybody in the car, and then I don't know. It's gonna be about a 3-hour drive, so you'll get there early in the morning still, because these are long days again. But I think it's worth discussing on your way over. Are just for confirmation, are Roadie and Kali gonna go in or hang back?
Hang back. I am.
Yeah, I would say my vote is that they hang back, but obviously it's up to them what their ultimate opinions
Someone's
are.
gotta
And all
like
that,
watch the car, man.
but keep it warm for you. Yeah.
I agree that may be the best course of action, and we have the ability to communicate now with our radios, although we would... Yeah, I will leave one in the vehicle and take one with me. However, I believe it is best to only be used in an emergency, as contacting in may alert them to the fact that we have more people on the ground.
Like, Weeble, before you go inside, it might be a good idea to use your binoculars to look inside to see if anything's off.
Is this going to become a recurring thing with you?
Wait a minute, Weaver, you got binoculars? Why didn't
Right,
you tell us?
man.
You were making a joke
Binoculars
before.
this whole time.
And he does. We will. And he fucking.
Oh my god, we annoyed a fucking robot.
Yeah, he cups his his hands to his fake eyes, and the eye in his chest swivels and looks outside, and he says, "What am I looking for?"
Are there any, like, people?
I spy with my little eye. Fucking shit, we are in a desert.
Are there any animals?
Boy.
I spy with my little eye someone who needs to keep both hands on the wheel.
Yeah, Collie's driving. Collie's driving with his feet.
Oh
And he's
god.
wearing flip flops too, so they keep getting caught on the wheel and like jerking us.
God, I bet they're fucking filthy as well.
Oh, shame.
His dogs have been barking.
Yeah.
Collie's dogs are always out, bro.
They're fucking crying out.
Amazing. So, after a couple of hours of travel, about 3, you guys discuss, look out the window, crank the AC.
And one very quick thing: can I write off 2.5 hours to repair my bad damage? 30 minutes to heal myself, and then 2.5 to just work towards that 24-hour total.
Sure.
Cool. Sorry. All right, I won't interrupt again.
And you round, you curve around a large boulder and over a dune. And as you kind of crest this dune, Janko, you recognize the rock structure you initially scouted when you guys were in the mountains the other day. And you see the scrap metal kind of haphazardly laid about. This time a little bit more clear as you are beginning to approach it. And you're essentially able to see a couple of small structures kind of labeled within. Kali, why don't you give me I'll say pilot wisdom check. Instead of notice. This is to notice something, but since you're driving, I'll give you pilot. So I would probably prefer that.
Wow.
Boom, with an 11.
Nice.
Kali, as you guys are approaching what you believe to be shit pile, you're maybe about a mile out at this point, maybe 2 miles. When the desert's a long place. We'll say you're about 5 miles out, right? So it's like visible. You guys are still a fair distance away. But, Kali, something keeps catching. It's like a triple glass nightmare because you're wearing sunglasses and you're looking through a windshield, and then there's something on the other end of this this expanse where shit pile is the end mark that is beginning to bling bling kind of plink at you, like something like a small source of light that's being shined at you, or like something shining and catching a reflection that is being shined at you.
Fuck.
And you keep like having to squint, and it's like blinding you temporarily as you're kind of like you guys in the car all notice that Collie begins to like just kind of like swerve a little bit more. You're like, Collie, can you fucking drive in a straight line? And in fact, that's what Sarah says in the back seat. She's like, Collie, can you keep it straight? Or are you swerving to avoid all the pedestrians? What's going on?
Okay, so Nick has a guess. I don't know if Collie would have a guess though.
I think it's fair.
Is it? Yeah, it's like I think we're being watched, man. Does anyone else see that? And he points up to the reflection, and he takes the trajectory of the car from a directly towards this and turns it into kind of like we're gonna ride the other two sides of the triangle to get there, just to like make something more difficult.
Yeah, so you're going at like a 45-degree angle instead of straight on.
Yeah, I'd say like 20 to 30, but yeah.
Gotcha. Can we see the glare when he points it out to us?
Yeah, he points it out. You guys can see it.
Okay. Does it look like a regular interval thing, like beep 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 beep?
No.
Beep? I'm trying to see if there's any sort of pattern, or if it just seems like it's
it's a little haphazard. It's not Morse code.
Okay.
I'm worried if it's scope, maybe glinting light, or laser specifically meant to try to crash us.
Maybe it is someone who actually has binoculars.
What do you mean, man? You have the binoculars.
Oh boy, Collie.
Weevil, did you lose your binoculars?
Oh wait, no, they are right here.
He cups his hands into the shape of binoculars again and puts them. He mimes putting them in a pocket.
Like, see?
Weevil leans over to Roadie in the back seat and goes,
I believe I should run some tests on him when I have access to better medical facilities. I am unaware. It seems he may be lacking a large portion of his brainstem.
I sincerely think that it fell out during the crash. I don't know what happened. I think his brain is gone.
Collie being stupid is like my new favorite joke. Oh man.
I just kind of fall into that, man. It just seems natural for this kind of voice.
Yeah. It fucking very much Bill and Ted. Yeah, I mean, can we? I fuck it. Weevil cups his hands over his eyes in the hopes of blocking a little bit of the glare to see if he can see like a tent, or is it just like a cliff side that this is coming off of, or the top of the cliff, or
it looks like it's coming off of there's like a large like this whole kind of thing is intermixed with some like large boulders, right? So it's like they're using like the natural landscape as partial cover for their little settlement here. But sort of overreaching one of the boulders, there's like you could tell there's probably some sort of metallic structure behind the boulder that then comes up over the boulder. And this is coming from on this like slightly, metallic structure. It's like slightly circular in nature, kind of jagged in silhouette, and extends up maybe 40 feet, maybe from the ground level. It's hard to tell.
So possibly like the sniper tower. Great.
Or like the top of a house, or who knows? Yeah.
Right. Okay. So some built up metal platform or roof potentially. Cool. Yeah. I mean,
I do not believe there's anything to be done about that at this moment. I think Mr. L. Flowers' evasive driving is the best method that we may have. Although, if we have been seen, then that would mean that we may have questions about why some of us would remain in the car. Perhaps we can say it is an insurance thing, and they are there in case something happens while we are up top.
I think that makes a lot of sense. Like, why not? Why we know people are in this desert, so leaving your stuff unguarded isn't very smart.
Yeah, just straight up say we don't want you stealing our car. No offense.
Yeah.
Well, like, I wouldn't really word it like that, but that is.
Yeah, I don't know if saying no offense is necessary.
Full offense, then. But I hope that may provide a sufficient explanation. It may also be required to promise that these two do not leave the car while we are up there, which I think may be fair terms. However, barring negotiations, it is impossible to say for sure.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't have anything I can do about this, so I say we continue.
So we just continue straight in, not hiding anything except for the two filmmakers we have, and stop at a reasonable distance when they tell us to, and just start the conversation. See what they say.
Okay.
I think that's the game plan.
As you begin to get closer, and this glare continues to kind of just flicker at you at a random interval, you guys see from within the boulders a dust cloud begin to get kicked up as something exits the sort of perimeter of the boulders and begins heading in your direction. Not directly towards you, but Kali, you're noticing it's almost like at a triangulation point to like. It's going to cut you off, essentially, it seems like, if you don't turn. It looks like something's coming out to get you or meet you or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, I think I would... I wouldn't necessarily stop driving just because something else was driving towards us.
Yeah.
Let me know if they fucking open fire.
Cool.
The driving rules on Saragon 3 determine that you must stay in the right lane and use your blinker, so please comply with those regulations.
Like, I can do that, man, but hey, Sarah, just in case, you might want to get that little 6-shooter ready.
It's a laser pistol. It's not a 6-shooter. Thank you very much.
It's a 10-shooter.
We're in the desert, man. Play along. Yeehaw.
It's high noon, etc., etc.
Etc.
As this thing gets closer, you guys are able to make out essentially a silhouette of it looks like a large bird coming towards you, kicking up just a huge plume of dust behind it. But as it gets a little bit closer, and you guys are now less than about a mile apart. You're a couple miles out from ship pile, but a mile apart from this thing as it's heading towards you, closing the distance. You notice it is a vehicle shaped like a bird, blue chassis, sort of elongated head, neck with motorcycle-like handles, and a single ball-bearing centered wheel below it. And on the back of this thing is a very large-looking, dark-skinned man with sort of a leather cap on that just kind of covers the top of his head and his eyes. And he begins waving with one arm. Wildly, kind of like over his head, left, right, and then he starts beginning to push his arm like down, like he's waving up or from up to down, as if to try and flag you down and get you to stop.
Wait, explain what he's doing with like his arms again. Is he
He's
just like waving them?
He like waves from left to right to get your attention, and then he starts going up and down, as if to like down, as if to be like stop,
like slow down,
quit it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I won't stop, but I'll go to like a slower thing. So if he was to drive up next to us, we could like have a word. I'll take it down to like a 15 or a 20 from the 50 or 60 I was going.
Okay. Well, he's gonna so he's closing the distance towards you, and as he gets closer and closer, he's continuing to wave to and then he starts putting his hand up as if to say stop. As he eventually kind of kicks up dust in a little burnout as he stops and pivots to the left, about 500 yards out.
All right, I'll oblige. I'll be like, maybe he knows something about the sands that we like don't. His vehicle's pretty light, We are what, a couple tons, all of us.
Yeah, but our car flies.
Yeah, no, Roadie himself weighs like 1.5 tons, so.
I wonder if he may be some sort of advanced scouting party for the settlement of Shitpile.
I don't know why you guys keep talking smack about my weight and my appearance. I don't know what I did to any of you.
I'm actually kind of sensitive.
It's starting to feel like it's intentional to hurt my feelings, which is really upsetting considering I've never made fun of you for being dumb, Collie. I'm just concerned.
I'm just concerned.
Okay. So you essentially pull over?
Yeah, sure. I don't know what pulling over is when you're not on the road. But
Yeah, exactly. You stop.
You crash into him.
Yeah, and you see him dismount his vehicle and begin crossing the distance over towards you as he takes his helmet off. And Sarah goes, well, if he's gonna start something, at least he's made it easy for us to kill him. We got him 5-1. And as this man gets closer, you notice he is like I said, a burly, dark-skinned, short-haired man with it looks like he's got sort of like a dark gray mechanic's jumpsuit on, but like some like kind of high-tech padding over it, like almost like football padding, where it's like just the shoulder plates and the upper chest and like some elbow pads and some knee pads, but they appear to be like metal and like kind of like fragments of combat armor that have been scrapped together, more advanced than like a lot of the stuff you've kind of seen on this planet so far. At least it's nothing like too crazy, nothing that would like bat an eye in TL4 worlds, but you're not on a TL4 world. And he kind of waves you guys down, and through your cracked windows you hear him yell out, "Hey, I'm Simon. Who are y'all?"
I already like this guy.
Yeah, like name's Collie, bro. Nice to meet you. We saw a weird message in a downed ship or a downed escape pod a couple 100 miles that way. Said something about a ship pile. It was over in this direction.
Yeah, Weevil leans forward, his massive frame kind of pushing Sarah out of the way because he took the middle seat, and he just like inches his face in between the backs of the driver's seat and the window, and he goes,
Yes, it was our escape pod.
and then he like reels back and slams back into the seat.
You hear just a metal clank as Sarah punches you and almost breaks her hand. She's like, "You're crowding my space." Oh, so you all were the escapees, distressees that crash landed on our fine vessel here. I'm glad y'all finally made it. And he looks, you see, at this point he's walking around the perimeter of your car and made it with style, apparently. Where'd you find this unorthodox means of travel?
Well, after we crash landed, we decided it's probably a good idea to search for some supplies or survivors on the ship, So, there.
Well, looks like y'all came out like bandits. Speaking of which, I'm hoping y'all don't mind, but bandits are something we've had quite a bit of a predicament with in Shitpile for, well, about as long as I've been sheriff, so if you all wouldn't mind maybe stepping out of the vehicle and having a word with me, on even terms, he says, looking up at your car, which is like hovering 6 feet above the ground.
Oh, he is looking outside.
Pilot it on top of him and crush him to a red paste and just drop the thrusters.
I knew it was a hover car. I didn't know it was 6 feet.
It can go up to like 10 pretty easily to get over. I mean, you obviously have the control to do that, so you could be like a 6 inches off the ground if you really want to.
Can I just lower the car then?
Yeah, I mean, you could lower it, but he wants you to get out of the car.
Yeah, I know, but regardless, in order to get out, we would have to...
Yeah, well, of course. Yeah, you don't just turn the engine off and just fall to the ground.
Yeah, exactly. We hover over him and just turn it off.
Insta-kill method.
Yeah, I'll lower the car. He seems friendly enough.
Sure.
If anyone gets out, they can get out, but probably will lower the car next to him as if we're talking out of our windows. So
yeah,
to get out would be to stand 2 inches from him. So I'll just
Yeah, I mean, that's the point. He it's not that he wants to look you in the eye so much more as he wants you to get out of the car to inspect you guys.
Oh, okay.
You get this. You get this as somewhat of a police stop. Can you get out of the vehicle? I want to inspect you for weapons, kind of deal vibe. Because he's like, we've had a problem with bandits, and I need to see who you are. And right now, you guys are a bunch of shadows in a car.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, I'll lower. We'll lower. Like I'll start stepping out. Ollie will.
Yeah, I will too.
I'll hop out as well.
Sir follows suit.
Sarah's looking around like pale faced, like I can't go back to jail.
Yeah. She gets out. It's like, oh, a colorful bunch of misfits we have here. It looks like y'all should start a band or something with your mixed aesthetics.
No, I've already done the music life. I'm not really about that anymore. I've been in that for a little bit now.
That's
He
a
does
shame.
not understand the concept of sarcasm. I apologize for his lack of a brainstem.
Oh, very well. I see y'all have various armaments on you, but nothing too crazy. That is your right on such a lawless desert planet like this. I ain't gonna stop you. Just make sure you don't use those things in my town, alright? That sound like a fair deal?
Like, yeah, man. Would your town be the shithole?
It's
Shit
pile.
pile.
Shit, yeah, everybody corrects Collie at the same time. They go, including Simon. He's like, shit pile or shit pile?
Also, I did have a brief question.
Yeah.
There was never, nor will there be, a person named Shitpile, correct?
No.
Okay. Because
that
this
would
note,
be ridiculous for someone to be named shit pile.
Yeah, Weevil takes out the
Can
note
I-
and he said,
it looked like it was signed by Shitpile, so this has caused a considerable amount of debate.
Oh.
Well, no, I said it was a place since the beginning. I do have a question, though.
Yep.
Why is it called shit pile? From here, I don't see many piles nor shits.
Well, basically, when this town was first founded by Saragon 3 natives, it was just a big pile of scrap metal, or as they would so callously and crassly call it, a big pile of shit. So when they started fleshing it down into buildings, they're like, yeah, we fleshed out this shit pile to be a town, so we'll call it shit pile. They're a real crude bunch, those original settlers of this place, this godforsaken rock. You know what, when you get into town, go find Cletus. You'll get the kind of person I'm talking about. You'll see why he named it shit pile.
Also, I have one more question. You do not have a Rakul in your town named Kleck, do you?
No, I don't reckon we have,
Okay.
Yeah, nope, no clicks. We only got
Very
a couple.
well, thank you.
We only got a couple of Grakul residents, and none of them go by that name.
okay, cool. Just trying to trace the breadcrumb trail.
Yeah, you know that was on a different planet. I think I might have.
Okay.
I might have said Saragon 3 in the recording.
But
I
okay,
meant
gotcha,
Saragon
gotcha.
2.
You meant the one that's the populated planet,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Wait, so man, answer me something, bro. What was up with the weird beeline you took to get over here? You seem to really want us to stop before we hit something in the sand.
Oh, I was just trying to flag you down in case you weren't going to stop, in case you were causing trouble. I need to take precautions for the town, so I just wanted to talk to you out here before I let you ride up to where my people are.
Oh, I thought you said on his way over here he took like a hard right to like avoid something.
No, I said he did like a skid in the sand. He like kind of came to a stylish stop.
Got it. Okay,
Yeah.
then never mind.
No,
Oh, wait.
it's a clear shot. You guys could just ride across this sand, especially in a car that, well, doesn't touch it. But yep, you all seem like decent folk at least. Nothing like those fuel makers that have been giving us so much trouble. That's a long story.
I ain't never heard of them. That's news to us.
Oh my
Well,
God,
Wow, they sound horrible.
That's I haven't even told you anything about them. No, but
Silence.
they're a group. Yeah, there's a very long pause. He goes, no, but they're a group of lawless savages that like to turn people like my people into fuel. It's pretty fucked up, and
So,
they cause us trouble every now and again. They live about somewhere to the east of there. And he
Right
kinda,
about where you came from, actually.
yeah, and he's like, and so just don't head too far in that direction, and you might be good. If you see anyone wearing gas masks and flamethrowers, steer clear of them.
So, like, I'm guessing those were the bandits you were talking about.
Yeah, occasionally we get your ragtag group of startups that crash landed on here and want to make a name for themselves and survive by stealing. But yeah, the fuel makers are the biggest, longest lasting pain in my hide.
Wait, so why not, like, defend yourselves?
Well, there's more of them than there are of us. They're better armed, they're crazier, and not everybody in our town is, so gung-ho. We got about 30 people in Shitpile. It's a small little town, but a lot of them are like you, wound up on this planet through one unfortunate circumstance or another, and we don't really have a solid way, to get everybody off world. This place is wildly neglected, and so we make the best of it. Now everybody knows how to defend themselves to a degree, but when you meet those fuel makers, you'll see they're a different breed entirely. They'll strap grenades to their motorcycles and ride them in at 80 miles an hour just to kill a few people if it means, getting one over on us. They're that kind of crazy.
Are there any other non-crazy settlements in this area, or is it just you guys and?
Are any of you normal people?
That's
Not that
tough.
This isn't nice.
It's tough to say. Sometimes little huts and settlements of 5 or 6 people crop up from newly crashed ships. They may or may not last long. They may or may not fold into the fuel makers or us when they decide they can't make it. There's not a lot of resources to be had around here, as I'm sure you've seen driving around. Short answer, maybe, but we don't have wide-ranging communication systems, and far be it from any of us to take a several week-long scouting trip around the planet just to see if there's other people.
Is crashed ships a common occurrence on this planet?
I wouldn't say common, but it's about the only way people wind up here.
Does anyone ever leave?
Occasionally, we have a strike fighter that barely functions, that managed to get enough sort of resources to fuel it up once every couple months just to get the necessary supplies to get it over to Saragon 2 and back.
So why, stay here if you could leave?
Well, it houses one person. So somebody can fly off planet, and then they can not come back, and then we won't have any way to get off-world supplies. Or we take our trusted pilot, who we know loves this town, and we'll get the supplies and come back with the supplies.
You can't, ask for help when you're on Saragon 2 or 3?
We've tried in the past, but money talks. Nobody wants to come out to this dangerous shithole to rescue a bunch of strangers with nothing to offer.
Dangerous shit pile.
This is Enter Shitpile, the home for the homeless, the place where we want the unwanted. I'm just saying, you own a starfighter, it costs a couple hundred credits, a couple 100,000 credits to sort of keep operational. You're gonna launch an interplanetary, mission to rescue a bunch of strangers who may or not be lawless cannibals, like this planet has a reputation for housing, for free, for nothing to gain out of it. People with very little life skills, they're malnourished and irradiated and sick.
There is
We've made pleas, nobody's listened, is the short version.
I mean, going off into the future, there is now there was a cargo and passenger ship. That's kind of valuable.
Well, yeah, we've heard of that. It's part of the reason we found your little distress beacon. Cletus clocked it as an escape pod from something much larger, and while he was out there, he definitely saw the plumage from your wrecked ship. I think he's planning a big adventure out there to see what kind of scrap he can get from it himself. I'm sure if you've already been out there, I'm sure you might want to have a word with him, let him know if there's anything good out there. I'm sure he'd appreciate it.
What was his name again?
Cletus, he's the town mechanic and one of the original founders of Ship Pile, in fact.
Oh, he was one of the original ship pilers.
Mhm.
And the last question that I have is whether or not you have seen any men come by in the last 2 or so years who only are in possession of one of their arms.
Man, who came by? He thinks on it for a moment. He goes, well, I mean, we get a lot of sick and injured people missing legs, arms. I think one time there was a man who didn't have a head. Let me see. I keep a log back in my my office. Let me see if I can dredge up any info on that. I don't rightly remember. 2 years ago, you said?
Yes, within the last 750 some days.
Okay.
I promise I am not looking for him for nefarious intent.
All right.
I realize saying that out loud may make it look like I am looking for him for nefarious intent.
Yes, it does raise some suspicions. Why don't you come see me in my sheriff's office a little later when I have some time to sift through my records later today.
Weevil's LED screen turns into a thumbs up, and he doesn't make a thumbs up with his hand.
Yeah, he goes, here, add it to your Google Calendar. Let
me add you on Google Meet.
Yeah. What's your LinkedIn? He goes, yeah. But, yeah, unfortunately, we are more or less stranded here. Our means of communication with the outside world are extremely limited, and but you're more than welcome to stay in the town, pull your weight, ask some questions around, leave whenever you want if you want, just don't cause any trouble. But yeah, now that we've met face to face, I'm comfortable with letting you all proceed. I'll radio back to our watchman and let him know that you're not with, you're the settlers that we've kind of been expecting. So no harm, no foul.
Cool.
I appreciate the hospitality, although I am surprised that you have such an open level of communication with an unknown factor as a crashed starship. I feel like it would be a risk to venture out into the desert and locate survivors and bring them back, although it is much appreciated. I admire your altruism.
Well, I'll be honest. There's selfish, intent there as well. You might have some medical skills and other engineering skills that we find necessary here in Ship Pile, or maybe you all died on impact and we just wanted the scrap metal. That being said, we do like to pride ourselves on helping those in need when and where we can. So, I won't dismiss all the credit, but just letting you know, it is a dog-eat-dog tough world out here. So it's not just out of the goodness of our heart. And if you do want to stay with us, you will have to put in some work, pull your weight. Nobody gets a free ride in Ship Pile.
Nobody piles shit without shitting on
pile.
Yeah.
With that being said, feel free to get back in your car, ride on forward, and he starts pulling out a field radio, and he mumbles into it. He's like, "We're good, Craig. These are those refugees we sent out word for the other day." And you guys are free to go into Ship Pile if you guys are done talking to Simon. He's gonna kind of trail you guys in.
Oh yeah.
As
It
you
is a shit pile.
make your way in, you see that again settled within boulders, framed by walls of scrap metal with almost metallic scaffolding struts supporting them. There are a couple dozen small buildings with less jagged tent-like structures, similar to what the Fieldmakers had, and more kind of rounded, futuristic RV camper oblong structures. There is a couple of buildings throughout that you kind of recognize as like serviceable buildings. There's like they have like signage. There's one that reads sheriff's office and jail. There is one that reads Blurpees. And it has like it has a light up sign, and you can tell it's sort of like a cantina cafe bar area, like it's like a hangout spot, a recreational
It's got a
spot.
smiling Palgin, and it says Blurpee cheeses.
There is a mechanics hub that's like clearly like a warehouse workstation-y kind of area where there's like lots of just like scrap parts and like half destroyed vehicles around it, like motorcycles and like old combustion cars and shit. And there's like a number of houses and kind of interlaid in what is essentially like a giant circle with a couple of streets and alleys. Like it's like a perimeter circle which has these buildings and these walls, and like the buildings are in a big circle facing inwards, and then within the circle it turns into a grid system a little bit. And that's kind of just how the town is generally laid out. But yeah, you're able to drive your car in and sort of park it off to the side essentially if you get off and explore on foot potentially, is what the kind of vibe is here. You don't notice like a lot of people driving cars around this town. It's not that big. And the streets are not like that wide, but you see a few people milling about. You see like a guy kind of clock you on the way in wearing kind of glasses and or like goggles and desert garb. He's got a scarf on. He was clearly the one watching you on the way in. You see he's got like a rifle with a scope on it. And you see a few kind of civilians walking around, people in overalls and jumpsuits and kind of just, old worn down civilian clothes that you might see on like a TL4 world that have been modified for like the desert environment, sleeves ripped off and, things that weren't scarves turned into headscarves, et cetera, et cetera. Fair mix of races, mostly human, but there's like one or two. You see a Gracool and a Malcoon in there, as well as just a random Aldrin as well. Mostly humans though. So
Buzz Aldrin, first guy on the moon.
Yup.
Fuck, I want to go get a cold one at Blurpees.
I feel like we should definitely start with a cold drink if they got it.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, I'm also
make our way to the scrap warehouse and see what they've got there.
I believe that is a good idea. I'm curious to see what they use as currency here. Perhaps it is a form of bottle cap.
Might be like favors, like help somebody.
Sexual favors.
If anybody wants a sexual favor from Janko, they're a fucking freak.
Janko reveals that the giant trench coat he's been wearing but has never mentioned is actually just filled with like bondage harnesses and
just full of like dildos.
Yeah,
it's like a rolling
400 makes and varieties. Why is Janko so heavy when I try picking him up?
Janko's actually the Bad Dragon founder.
Dude, I was just gonna say he's the best customer of the Bad Dragon.
The Bad Dragon sounds like a really shitty pub.
He's the original. He's the gerbil from South Park.
Oh, all grown
he
up.
was mutated. Yeah.
Okay, so you guys head over to Blurpees. It sounds like it's the kind of the style of what's in the art there with the sign on it. It's got this like slightly you hear like a loud generator humming, and they have a couple of string lights and a sign lit up with like not neon light but like fluorescent light that reads Blurpees. So this generator's like mildly powering this place.
And it's kind of like an open air dome shaped building, kind of almost like a small version of like a hangar at an airport. And you're able to just walk in through this massive opening. There's a few tables and chairs scattered around, made out of old reclaimed wood, a bar made out of old reclaimed wood, just like shit made out of scrap metal. It's all just haphazard and slung together over the years. They try and make it as nice as possible, but like, you know, it's doing the best with very little. And there's maybe 5 or 6 people in here, kind of sitting in groups of 2 to 3 at tables, just eating small meals off of tin plates. And a woman kind of clocks you as you walk in. Just a human woman, short hair, dirty looking face. You know, average kind of looking middle-aged lady. And she's like, "Oh, I heard we were getting somebody new in town. Welcome to Blurpees. Can I get you all anything, or y'all just getting acclimated?"
Yeah,
I'll have your biggest Blurpee, please. Whatever
I was
that
just
is.
about to ask if they had anything on the menu called a Blurpee.
Like one Blurpee, please.
what is a Blurpee?
we all say all of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why it's so fucking.
Anybody else want to say anything before this lady can respond?
Just one Blurpee, please. Is there anything called a Blurpee? I'll have a Blurpee, your biggest Blurpee. She's like, what the fuck is happening?
Is your name Blurpee? Hello, Blurpee. I think it's that you're getting to me, but I find your name really sexual.
I'll have one more, please.
She looks at all of you very confused, and she's like, "Okay, so." She goes, we do have something called a Blurpee. It's essentially the closest thing you can get to booze on this planet. It's it's blue, viscous liquid, kind of like almost like crushed ice in a way. It kind of tastes like antifreeze. Trade secret how we make it. Tastes like hell, but it's the only way you're gonna get drunk.
Sounds good to me. Let's do 5 of those.
Okay. What do you have?
Whatever you guys want.
And she goes, right. And what do you have to trade for those?
Roadie will start. His face will drop, having not considered this at all, and he'll start checking in person.
I'm sure I got something. Hold on.
All right.
How about a grenade?
Oh shit, the pin's out.
Yeah. Oh, whoops.
Give me one. Her eyebrows shoot up, and she's like, "Are you being serious right now, mister?"
Yeah, I got a grenade on me. I'll trade you one for the town, and then we get as many Blurpees as we want. How about that?
I don't think that's gonna work, but can I see your grenade?
Sure.
And Roadie will pull out one of the pellet grenades that he has from the armory.
Yeah, she kind of looks at it a little disappointed, and she's like, "I can get you a couple Blurpees for this."
Roadie's kind of doing the math in his head.
We'll call it 3.
3 for the grenade.
And I'll put the grenade on the table.
Okay, great. And she gives you 3 blue slushy alcoholic drinks. 3 frozen margaritas.
Yeah, he's going to town on it, on them.
They taste awful.
Sharon.
They taste like poison. But they're strong. And can I get anything for the rest of you guys? We have food, we have water, we have, other beverages of sorts. Whatever we can replicate on this.
Like, I'd like one Blurpee, please.
Okay, what do you got to trade for it?
What do I trade for it?
Janko's gonna step up. He's gonna be like, I got very little to trade, but if I help you guys do dishes tonight, could I get a meal? Is that fair?
We'll call it. We don't normally trade for basic labor like that, but how about you do we'll say save up the dishes for you. You do those, and you clean the floors on the way out.
Like, make him polish the shit pile.
How would he polish the entire town?
Make sure you stack the Blurpees in order of size.
Guys, the Blurpees, it's like a beer. You can't stack beer. It's a liquid. I don't know if
at this point, Roadie's like blacking out. That ended it all. Blurpees.
It's Blurpees all the way down.
Liquid.
Everything's coming up Blurpees.
She's like, you clean the floors, you could have sure, since it's your first time in town.
Collie goes, Collie pulls out his little palm shade umbrella and says, I like this. I made it myself.
Alright, fine.
Fuck yeah.
Gives you a Blurpee.
Oh damn, is it a sloppy Blurpee?
I like the idea that this woman.
I randomly came up with this word. I don't know why it's so funny to you guys. Is this it's not a real thing, is it?
No.
Yeah, it's a real thing. Have you never heard of the Blurpee? Common drink on Blurpee. That's
sounds like
Blurpees.
Slurpee, Burpee, and Blumpkin all at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought. You were like, is it a sloppy Blurpee? And I'm like, did I accidentally name this Blumpkin, basically?
I'm gonna add an Urban Dictionary entry for sloppy Blurpee.
It sounds like something from Rick and Morty. Is what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
Can I get a sloppy Blurpee?
Great.
I'm gonna put one Blurpee in my inventory.
You're not even gonna drink it. You're just carrying it around.
He just pours it into his open pocket.
Yeah, pour the liquid into your pocket.
Yeah.
She's like, all right, great.
Purple orb.
Anyway, y'all got your beverages, sort of. If you want anything else, let me know. I can answer you questions about the town. I can serve you some food. I can get you something non-alcoholic if you want. Let me know.
I am actually curious about the town's contentious relationship with the fuelmakers. Sheriff Simon mentioned them on the way in. I am curious when the last time there were open hostilities between the two groups.
That would be when that crazy electric motherfucker came to town trying to kill Simon about 2 weeks ago.
Electric motherfucker?
Yeah, he's in the jail now. He's the only guy we got locked up. Normally, and she looks over at Roadie. She's like, normally that jail is only reserved for people who have maybe one too many Blurpees and need to sleep it off. But he's the first criminal we've actually locked up in a while. Normally the fuel makers they'll kill themselves or they'll get away. But this guy came into town, swearing revenge on the sheriff. He had these crazy electrical cables hooked around his wrists, like whips, and was just spouting nonsense. And basically, the sheriff he apprehended him somehow, non-lethally, and now he's in our fucking jail cell spouting nonsense at all hours of the night. Anyway, he's with the fuel makers. He came in 2 weeks ago. That was the last time they attacked us. Prior to that, they ran, I don't know, one of their usual drive-by raids where they just kind of take pot shots at us. And sometime last month.
The other question I had is whether there are any sick or injured individuals in an infirmary of sorts, as I am trained in medical administration and I believe I may be of assistance. That may potentially help us as we are searching for some form of scrap to repair a vessel.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that would be a good way to, we barter here in Ship Pile, so, any services, any specialized services you can offer are worth good money, and if you have any medical supplies, those are always appreciated. I'd go see June Kim in, well, it's just her house, but she kind of runs a makeshift clinic and research station out of there, so I'd go talk to her. She's normally got one or two people, in there, either with radiation sickness or crawler bites or some sort of sandfish burns or something like that.
Cool.
She lives in it's about 3 houses down, 2 houses up over there. And she just kind of gives you
probably see from here, yeah.
Yeah, she gives you directions. It's a small town.
Cool.
It's the one with
Do you have a VFW and local Boy Scout troop?
It's the one with the metal potted plant outside of it.
Is the plant made of metal?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
It's an art piece. June King can be a little weird sometimes.
Nice.
I think she misses greenery. Anyway, she's worth talking to.
Very good. I will seek her out. Thank you. Do you have any motor oil that I could drink?
Is this a joke?
Yes, it is a joke. I do not drink motor oil.
Okay. Because I have some. We have to lube up our generators and keep things greasy around here. So.
Greasy for the Blurpees.
Yeah, we
Keep
love
it greasy. And he gives her a thumbs up.
You too, big fella. You too.
Keep it greasy.
Keep those Blurpees flowing and keep it greasy.
Jesus Christ. Anybody has anything else they want to do at Blurpees?
Is anyone else here?
Yeah, like I said, there's like 5 or 6 other customers just hanging around, eating meals.
Are they all drinking Blurpees?
No.
It's also like 9 a.m. if I remember
Yeah.
correctly. We got
Yeah,
here like very early in the day.
This is the only way to get drunk and shit pile or potentially on this planet, essentially. So it's just like, yeah, this you guys walked into a place called Beers and you guys are just like, let's get all the beers. But it's also like the name of it's also like the only cafe in town. It's the only restaurant. So people are coming here because they just wanted to, a quick meal. You guys are getting fucking plastered.
Oh yeah, Roadie is like getting fucking sloshed because he's drinking all 3 of these and he doesn't have any food. Oh no, he ate at the
yeah, but they're really strong. Like these things are probably like at least 20% alcohol.
Yeah, they look like one.
I guess Roadie does. All right, well, thank you, Blurpee. I love you. Get up and ready to leave. Thinking that we're done here. So nobody has anything to do. I guess he's just going to walk drunk into town.
He's like yelling. He's like, time to go back to the fuel makers and get off the planet. we got to Ship Pile and did what we did.
Ship Pile finds out that I'm a fuel maker and I have a brand on my desk.
Great. As Roadie begins to saunter out, she says to the rest of you, she's like, y'all might want to keep a watch on him. Not a good first impression to get hammered first thing in the morning and start causing trouble.
That is fair. I believe that he will probably behave himself, but that is still an unknown at this point.
Fingers crossed. All right, well, have fun in Ship Pile. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, and if you ever need a bite to eat, you know where to go.
Thank you. I will eat here if I ever gain teeth and a digestive system.
And he gets up and walks out.
Can't wait. Great. And I guess that's where we'll end the session because there's no pressing matters or cliffhangers I can forcibly force upon you. Oh, nope, never mind. So we will pick up next session with just the general shit pile going on. You guys have a couple of people to talk to, a couple of people that might want to talk to you, and the new newfound goal of how do we get off this planet, or not so much a newfound goal, but a newfound progress on that goal about 2 potential off-world vehicles that you guys could take, ship
Right.
piles or the one in the fuel makers.